It's really funny. It's quite. I'm watching it on my television. It takes quite a long time to go through. Okay. Still the Rayne logo on my television because my husband's got it up. Does it have that much time delay normally? Okay, no, we're all good. Okay, lovely, thank you. Welcome to February's meeting of Rayne Parish Council, and I welcome everyone to the meeting and to anyone that's watching us on our YouTube channel this evening. As usual, we have a really big, heavy agenda and lots of exciting things to discuss tonight. So, first of all, can I have apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chair. We've got apologies for absence from Simon Tibbetts. And then if I can just certify who's present, please.
Yes, please.
From the council, thank you. So we have present tonight the Chair, Councillor Mrs Anne Hooks, Tom Agata, Trevor Rippingale, Paul Willis, Mike Eldred, Celia Merton, Russell Davis, Karen Spencer, Grace Meehan.
Lovely, thank you. And members of the public, we have four members of the public. I believe so, yes. Okay. And can I have councillors your declarations of interest for tonight's meeting? Councillor Agata. Thank you. And Councillor Davis. You're muted.
The most used phrase of 2020, I do apologise. Mine is item number 21154, ECC Minerals and Waste.
Thank you. Councillor Merton?
Ditto.
Lovely. Is that everybody's? I believe so. And can we move on to the consideration of the minutes of the meeting held on the 4th of January? Can I have a proposer and seconder to say that they are a true account of the meeting? Thank you, Councillor Eldred and Councillor Spencer. Thank you. Okay. Before we go any further with tonight's meeting and the agenda, many people will be aware of the tragic death of Andy Vodden, one of our groundsmen for 13 years, and what a character he was. Today we were able to say goodbye to a much loved friend and colleague as he passed through the village for the last time. As this is our first council meeting since Andy's death, we will mark his passing with a minute's silence as a mark of respect from the council. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And our sincere condolences go to his family at this very sad time. Thank you all. Are we all okay to proceed? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on to the public forum. People that are here for your planning applications, now is the time for you to be able to talk about your planning application and ask the council, or gives us the opportunity to ask you any questions to do with your planning application as well. We discuss your planning application later on during the meeting, and once the public forum has finished, we would ask you to leave the meeting, and if you want to watch our deliberations later on, please go to the YouTube link to be able to watch it. With our deliberations, often we will have no comment. Well, we have 3 options. There's no comment, we can object, and obviously we can support it. A lot of the time we will say no comment. It doesn't mean that we don't care. It's just that, you know, there's literally, you know, it's fine. The parish council has nothing to say about it. So Mrs. Fairrow, would you like to go first about your planning application? Can you tell us about your planning application? And
yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Yeah, it's just a single story sort of extension of our current kitchen. I think before our time, many years ago, somebody added an extension on previously, and we think they didn't do a particularly good job. So it looks like we'll have to redo some of the works anyway. And then at the same time, we just thought we would widen the kitchen a bit more. So yeah, any sort of questions on it?
Councillor Springfo, this is the 18 New Road application, if you were unsure. I don't have any questions. Does anyone else? And to be fair, it looks like a straightforward, and if you're just widening it slightly and redoing something.
Yeah, it's like they've got like damp in the wall. I mean, to be honest, I suppose we don't know exactly how bad things are until we sort of uncover bits. So we're sort of prepared for if we need to redo bits like that. But yeah, shouldn't. I mean, you know, our neighbour we've just got one neighbour joining next door. You probably all know him, Jim. Everyone knows Jim, right? And you know, we get along really well with him anyway. So yeah, he's aware of everything and happy. So yeah, that's good.
I mean, I must admit, on the BDC portal, there's no objections or anything. So from neighbours or anything. So
there isn't. Sorry, did you say?
No, there isn't. I looked earlier, there wasn't.
Yeah.
So if councillors, if any of you got any other questions, no. Really, thank you for attending. And yeah, if you'd like to leave, don't end the meeting, leave the meeting, and then if you want to watch our deliberations later on the agenda, you're more than welcome on the YouTube link.
Okay, yeah. Where's the YouTube link? Sorry.
It was on our Facebook page earlier on today. So if you look on the Rayne Parish Council Facebook page, there was a link. There was a post with that link on earlier on today.
Okay, great.
I think it was the last thing we posted. Oh, it might not be actually. I'm not sure if it's the last thing we posted or not. But yeah, it's definitely there. Or just search Rayne Parish Council on YouTube, and it will come up with our channel, and you'll be able to find tonight's meeting.
Okay, great.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Moy.
My planning application is for a fence that has been erected already at number 2 Hants Lane. We put the fence up because the wall that was currently there, the soldiers, which are the bricks on the top, were falling down. And we believe that when the extension was done in 2000/2001, we have a new boundary line, and that is where we put the new fence. And so we put planning application for that, which we didn't know we needed, first of all. That was brought to our attention by the Braintree District Council, I believe.
Okay, so you've moved the fence from slightly out over the grass that was common land?
No, it was our land to begin with. When they built the extension, I checked with Braintree District Council, and I also went to the land registry to get confirmation of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councillors, do you have any questions? No. Again, I mean, I'm aware of one objection to it at this time. Councillor Willis.
Yes, the only thing I wanted to say is it's not really a planning consideration for us. It's the fact that it's a civil issue, isn't it?
Quite possibly.
In what respect? I don't believe so. It's a civil issue.
Well, I'm just questioning. You know, obviously somebody does dispute whether it's your land or not. We're here to decide a planning position, I think, aren't we?
We didn't see any. Yeah, we didn't see any objections on the website. Maybe there was objections.
Sarah, would you like just to fill in there quickly?
Yes, Chair, if I can just advise, sorry, there was a representation made to Braintree Council Planning. Unfortunately, it hasn't been uploaded to the planning portal as yet. Colleagues in planning are investigating that as to why that hasn't happened. So apologies that that's not visible at the moment. Yes, I believe that is to do with the boundary issue. Councillor Willis is correct, that would be a civil matter rather than a planning matter. Unfortunately, it's not something that the District Council will be able to comment on. However, I believe the application was made following a planning enforcement report that was made regarding the fence not having planning permission.
Okay.
That is correct, yes.
Yeah.
Planning also pop round and ask us, which fair enough. We didn't know we needed planning permission for a fence.
No, that's fine. It happens to all of us. We all think we can do something, and then it comes along, and then apparently you can't. So no, I think if there's no other questions from councillors, obviously it is a fence. So yeah, same as before. If you want to watch our deliberations, please tune into our YouTube channel, and when we get to that part of the agenda, you'll be able to watch what we say. Obviously, as a parish council, we don't decide the planning application. We're just asked to make comments. So obviously we don't decide, but obviously we will make comment if we need to on your application. So yes, if you could leave the meeting, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yep, will do. Thank you very much.
Thanks for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okie doke. Is that everyone for the public forum? It is, isn't it? Yes. Okay, moving on to our district and county council reports. Councillor Eusden, would you like to go first for district?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Just a few things that are updates or reminders. Firstly, just a reminder that the PCR tests for COVID that were collected from Causeway House, the deadline for return is Thursday at 12 noon. After that, anyone who's still got one and wants to return it will have to post it in, because they won't be being issued from there. That's mainly due to the fact that there are the new rapid test site opened in Witham, which is easy to get in, get a test, and you get a result very quickly. So that's replacing it, and there'll be more test centres like that over the district. So that was that one. A reminder, I'm sure you won't need, that the local plan subcommittee is on the 4th of February. So we'll see what happens there, and it will be, they make recommendations for the full council to consider on the 22nd of February. And I think it's expected that, assuming that it's approved, then section 2 examination would be in the summertime, early July, probably, but not necessarily. One of the two other things, there's a trial for collection of waste small electrical items that's being conducted, started in January, and I have a briefing note which I will try and separate and send out to you so that you can see it. But basically, there was one for Essex County Council, but it was suspended due to COVID, and Braintree District are running a trial for 12 months with the ability to deposit small electrical waste items at several locations throughout the district. I think the nearest ones for us are Station Approach, Braintree, and Great Notley Community Centre, and they'll be picked up every Wednesday over a 4-week period. So 3 sites will be visited and collected by the bulk waste teams on a 4-weekly cycle. So that one, in the nearest ones to us, will be collected every 4 weeks. I will send the full briefing out so that you've got the detail, and then it will be assessed at the end of it to see how it works. There was an issue around littering. Well, three incidents that have been dealt with by enforcement. I think one, we weren't overly keen on their response over the lady who deposited the bag at the bottle bank. But the other 2 were successfully prosecuted. But what was interesting, I thought, was that all 3 incidents were people who do not live in Rayne. So they were people travelling through Rayne on their way home to somewhere and deciding to leave us a small deposit on their way, which was very decent of them, I'm sure. But it just made me wonder if we could benefit from a loan of the, forgive the expression, don't be a tosser signs that were put up by McDonald's. And I just wondered if we could talk to Wendy, if you think it's appropriate, to see if we can acquire some of those signs that we could use for a month or so, just to remind people to take their litter home with them rather than depositing it in Rayne. I don't know if you want to think about that and let me know next time. But it just seemed an idea, because if it was our residents, then clearly our message isn't getting through to them, but it's not. It's people travelling through Rayne, and it just seemed, and it's all roads, because one was on Shelford Road, the other was on the main road. So it's, you know, they're just sort of dumping rubbish just because they can. And I just wondered if those signs did attract attention, that's for sure. And it may be useful to use them in the village, but up to you to think about that. And I think the final one from me was just really an update on where we are with affordable housing, because that's an item that was discussed at several of the parish council meetings before we went into lockdown the first time. And it was just really to update and say that we're on track this year for an additional 220-ish completions of new properties for affordable housing throughout the district at various locations. We've already got just shy of 200 of those, so, and the remaining numbers are expected to be completed in January and February. And just really to update on the Abbeyfield scheme off of Church Lane in Bocking, which is the assisted extra care scheme for, and it's got 99 apartments for over 55s, a mixture of owner occupation, shared ownership and for rent. In addition, there are 37 rented homes on the site, and the expected completion is the end of 2021. The aim of the development is to help prevent older residents ending up in care homes and to provide care in a controlled environment, but in their own home, as it were. And I thought it was worth, as there was interest in that before, that I thought that I would just update on the current situation. Okay, and that's it from me, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Euston. Councillor Davis, did I see you with your hand up?
Yes, Chair. All it was to say was that I think that anything to try and deter people from littering is a good idea at the moment. You know, only just recently I cleared a number of bags of rubbish from Shalford Road. Within a couple of days, there is a number of wine bottles, beer bottles, cider cans, fast food takeaways that have all been dumped out the windows, coffee cups, McDonald's cups, all the way along Shalford Road, which we'll aim to clear again this week. But like most areas, since lockdown, we've seen a huge increase in the amount of rubbish. But what's more worrying is the amount of alcohol bottles that are being deposited. And this is on a stretch of road where people are not walking and, you know, drinking a beer and chucking it. They're driving along and lobbing bottles and cans out the windows. So that in itself is concerning and maybe something to take up with our local policing team.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other questions for, yes, Sarah?
Chair, I just wanted to say a little while ago I did flag up that the bypass sort of when we could use it, our slip road down at Perkins roundabout was quite bad for litter, but when I have managed to get out because I've had to do some errands for some older people, I noticed that a lot of the bypass verges, Pods Lane and the rest of the bypass look particularly bad for litter at the moment. I just wonder if the district council or county councillor know if there's a litter pick planned in the near future, because it is detracting from the countryside and the tidiness of our town at the moment.
I haven't heard of a litter pick planned. The last conversation I had with operations was about Fenton's Lane. And that I think is now something that is less of an issue. And I think some of the issue for Fenton's Lane is that the mechanical sweeper doesn't go down there. And what I found out is that actually the mechanical sweeper just does the main body of villages, I think. And it's the outlying edges of all the villages don't get a visit from the mechanical sweeper because they tend not to have curbs. So that's part of the problem for the mechanical sweeper. That doesn't solve the verges, mind you. So as far as I'm aware, there's not one unless Graham knows differently.
Yes, Councillor Butland.
Yes, we have had a number of operations staff who are off with COVID, I'm afraid, and so we've had to concentrate on the main thing, which is collection of rubbish, etc. Which, fingers crossed, at the moment we're still able to keep going. Unlike one district in Essex, which unfortunately has had to virtually stop it because of illness, but it has meant that things like the litter, we've had to shift staff around. But I will try. Paul, as your district councillor, I'm sure Paul has a word with Wendy. A timetable of when we might be, well, I don't even know whether we'll be able to do it yet, but when we would hope to be back on track. But that's the reason why I agree with what Sarah's saying, and particularly along the A120, for example. There's normally when you're moving out of Braintree and into Colchester because the litter starts. Unfortunately, at the moment, it is that, but it is purely a lack of resources, as a number of staff have been hit by COVID in the operations side.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Butland. Councillor Spencer, do you have a question?
Councillor Euston, if you are going to follow up on some rows, is it possible that you could add Queenborough Lane? I know it's outside of our parish, it's between us and Great Notley, really. I would have done a litter pick myself because it's appalling, but the road is too dangerous because there are no verges on it. But if you could get Queenborough Lane added to your list, that would be great.
Yeah, I don't think the mechanical sweeper will go down there, but I will certainly add it to the list for a litter pick.
I don't think it's in your ward, Paul.
Sorry?
I don't think it's in your ward.
No, I think I end at Gore Bridge, don't I? If you'll pardon the expression.
I'll take it up, certainly. Yeah.
Yes, Councillor Willis.
I was just going to say, actually, in actual fact, Queenborough Lane has just been picked. by the green team, I'd imagine, because it was all done properly. There was you know, road signs up, and I think if you go down Queenborough Lane in the last few days, you'll find it has been litter picked, quite substantially litter picked. So I mean, they've done a good job, to be fair.
I was talking a week ago, so you're more up
Yeah.
to date, Councillor.
It's been done.
I've done that already. Marvellous.
Yeah.
BDC are definitely on it.
So yeah, Queenborough Lane's been done, but I was just going to say, really, it's everybody else has said the same thing. I mean, the A120 is looking particularly grim at the moment, isn't the bypass?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Euston, for the update. Councillor Butland, would you like to give us an update
Yes,
from your point of view?
Quickly deal with the two issues. First, the one that's been occupying most of my time throughout January, vaccination centres and vaccinations, and a bit of a desert here. I'm not quite sure in terms of which surgeries serve Rayne. I suspect quite a few, some of which may be in Braintree, so people there may already be receiving invitations to St Michael's, but any that are registered here in Great Notley, it's I'm afraid a bit of a vaccination desert at the moment. I can just explain why. First of all, it's the NHS who are doing it, and I have been extremely frustrated by the lack of communication from the NHS on this. But the situation in Great Notley, it was left to primary care networks. Primary care networks, Madam Chairman, are groups of GP surgeries that are linked together. When they were linked together, there was no thought about, was that in the best interest of residents? It was, does practice A get on with practice B? And if they got on with each other, they went into a network. As a result, we've got a network framework which makes no sense. So, for example, the Colne Valley network stretches from Sybil Headingham in the west to Earl's Colne in the in the east rather. And if you're in Sybil Headingham and you're going to use the surgery, you have to travel to Earl's Colne. Not an easy journey, particularly if you don't have transport. Here in Great Notley and the surrounding areas, they are linked with the surgery in Little Waltham and, for some inexplicable reason, two surgeries in Witham. Now, with the Pfizer vaccine, which is what they've been using at the moment, that can only be delivered to a single surgery, and it can't be shifted around because of the requirements of that particular drug in terms, as you've all probably heard, the very low refrigeration that it has to be done. So the surgeries here decided that they would not, the surgeries here decided that they would not participate in that because they'd either have to send people from Great Notley to Little Waltham or Little Waltham to Witham, you name any sort of thing. So as a result, there are a number of elderly people in this area who have not yet received an invitation for a vaccine, including, to my knowledge, at least 4 over 90s who live within 20, I was going to say 20 meters, a bit further than that, but very close to me. Now, I don't think that's acceptable. And one of the reasons of using primary care networks is that they agreed that they would do the housebound. And in my view, a 90-year-old, by and large, is going to, even if they are reasonably active, we cannot expect them, as they've been told in some places, to travel to Danbury or Rumble or whatever. Today, at long last, we've got the news, and it has actually opened, that Great Leys has today opened as a mass vaccination centre, and letters have gone out. I've made the point that unless you've got a car, you will find it difficult to get to that centre because there is no public transport and indeed no public footpaths. But as a district council, we are attempting to use the community transport system, not just for that one, but elsewhere as well. So if anybody knows of an elderly patient who is having difficulty, first of all, really, their practice should be making arrangements to actually visit them and vaccinate them. But if they they want to go, and we must remember we're dealing with an age range which actually never wants to cause trouble, and will happily. One of the problems with the queues at St Michael's was, and really anyone could have told them, if you say to an 80 or 90-year-old, the doctor needs to see you at 2, they will be there at 1. That's just the mentality. And so there's been those sort of issues. It is getting better. I think we will see it, but Braintree was a bit of a desert in terms of vaccination. Hopefully we will improve it. And they are also still looking for a suitable site in Halstead, which again would help the villages to the north and the west of the district. But that's taken up a lot of time, and quite a few emails. So that's that. Then talking of emails and Perkins Roundabout, which Sarah wrote to me about, and I went back, and then Sarah came back quite rightly, and I wrote to ECC on that, and I got a reply from them on the 22nd of January. Looking through, I'm not sure whether I forwarded it on to Sarah or you, Councillor Hooks, and I sent it to you this evening saying I'm not sure whether I sent it before. But I'll just read, it's a fairly short, and I'll read it and then you can give me your views. Dear Councillor Button, so this was dated the 22nd of January. Thank you for your email. I can advise you that the Gully team were out on site at this location on the 14th of January 2021, and this is what it looked like, and they've sent a photograph of it. They did manage to jet from the catch pit to the north, across the road to the gully and the pit south of the road. But with this head of water from the surrounding fields and all the ditches locally being completely full, there was little else they could do. As I am sure you can appreciate, we are only responsible for maintaining the gullies and for ensuring that the gullies and connections are clear. I will get back to you if I receive any further update from the team. So that was the response, and I apologise that I got on the 22nd of January, and I've only just sent it to you tonight. I don't know, I think with everything else, I'm sorry, I just missed that, but that's the situation. So I will follow up and any more, but if there's anything else you want me to ask, I will happily take that up.
Yes, please. Last week, one day last week, a lorry, excuse my layman terms, just came and sucked up the water for us to try and clear the water, so the flood wasn't there. I don't believe it sucked all the water away, so we were still left with a road that was passable, but still with a puddle. And then literally within 24 hours we had more rain, and it's now flooded across the road. The road is closed again. Something more is more than just gullies and jet washing gullies out now. There's definitely something more structural, something. I appreciate that the fields are very high with water, and that really isn't going to be helping the situation, because obviously the it's not even a flash flood because of the amount of water that is around. But this particular flooding this time round has been here since November. Mm-hmm. And then we've been contacted by numerous residents. We've been contacted by businesses that have facilities at Broadfields Farm and in the Perkins garage area, and it's now affecting their businesses because they're not taking deliveries because the couriers won't come through or don't know how to get around it. It is really starting to affect stuff. Historically, I think this has been an issue for many years. So yes, there's an unprecedented amount of rainwater this year, but historically this has been going back years. So it makes the suggestion that there's something more seriously wrong. Somebody has mentioned the culverts that were built underneath the roundabout when the bypasses were built. It really needs a proper CCTV, down and having a proper look. It really does. I mean, it's something that the residents of Rayne really does need to get sorted. And when you've got that amount of water in the road, I mean, people have tried to go through it, in fact had their cars pulled out of it. Where the water is dragged, it then makes the road so slippery that then the roundabout is icy because the water has been spread. I'm not sure whether we've actually had the grit to come through the village properly because it can't get through at Perkins. The bus service has had to turn around within the village. The school buses have had to, which are still working obviously for key worker children. You know, it's causing the village chaos. It really is, and we really do need a solution pushed somehow. Councillor Merton. Can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Just to reiterate, this has happened since the bypass was built, which was in 1989. It's when it opened. As you say quite rightly, it's not getting any better. It's only getting worse. And I really, I put a complaint into ECC Highways saying that it really needs to be looked at properly, like just reiterating what you just said. I just think it needs a proper investigation rather than just a sort of a sticking plaster solution, which is just to come and jet the gullies. And we're only getting the gullies jetted when it's become a serious. So, you know, it needs sorting properly once and for all.
Thank you, Councillor Merton.
Sorry, it's a much said what you just said, so I do apologise.
That's fine. Councillor Eldred.
Yeah, to bring it up to date, Graham, we're running a duty councillor telephone helpline currently during the lockdown. I had a call from a very distressed older lady whose daughter actually couldn't get to her because Rayne was totally impassable. Now, I managed to calm her down and we sorted a few things out as far as that's concerned. Well, you know, you've got a desert in Notley. We've certainly not got a desert here. We've got a flood and we've got Noah's Ark, and I don't think that would help at this moment in time. But it really brings it home. We can talk about culverts, we can talk about this, we can talk about that. We've got old people who can't get in or out. I went down there to have a look, and there was two mature people in a car who tried to go through it because they were desperate to get home with their shopping that was unfreezing, and they sat there for an hour and a half while they tried to get rescued. Until you see it, Graham, until you're there with distressed people and everything else, you don't realise. I think you can hear it in everybody's voice tonight how passionate people are about this, because it is a continual problem. We feel, and everybody feels at the moment, that we're actually becoming isolated, and I can't say it strongly enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Eldred. Councillor Merton again. We can't hear you again.
Just to reiterate that point, when you've got Sunlido Square Gardens flooded and Queenborough Lane flooded, we're now becoming an island.
Yes, there was one particular evening where Sarah and I were getting close to implementing our emergency procedures because four out of the 5 routes out of the village were flooded.
Yeah.
And you think, you know, a main road like the A120 or the old A120, as in Sunlido and Perkins, really shouldn't be, getting to that state. So, Councillor Spencer.
Just to mention that School Road was also flooded that night as well, so that route out was not safe.
Thank you. Councillor Rippingale.
Yeah, my general observation is the majority of the water that's going there is actually coming up from a either a pipe or a burst something. It's sort of like just past the farm,
yeah,
gone towards the storage place. There's real volume of water coming out of that point there, which obviously adds to the overall situation. I think that needs to look at, as well as the actual problem area itself, because that's where most of the water's coming from.
Chair.
Yes, Councillor Willis.
Yeah, I'll just add to what Councillor Rippingale has just said. I actually sent some photographs the other day of that particular drain. There's a huge amount of water just flowing right out of it. going straight into into the body of the water. So there's something wrong with the drains there as well.
And sorry, Chairman.
Yes.
Could I suggest? Do you think that yourself, Sarah, and I, well, anybody, we could get together and put a detailed thing rather than just saying, this is a problem, because it seems to me from what we're saying, this is going to be something which, when the water recedes, needs a real proper examination of this area. And maybe that's the approach we've got to take. I mean, clearly, you'll appreciate, also I represent Finchingfield. There was a village that was cut in half. And it must be all daughters and mothers, but daughter one side could not get to her mother the other side because of the huge thing. And clearly, at the moment, the earth is absolutely sodden. But this seems to be, and I'm interested in what Councillor Willis and Councillor Rippingdale said, that they feel that there's an area where water is escaping as well, and coming up through. So if we could put a pretty sort of collectively a detailed thing, I'm very happy then to say, look, this is something, all right, we can't do much while it's underwater, etc. But this is something that needs further thing. And picking up on the point that Councillor Merton said, is it something as a result? I think it was Councillor Merton who talked about the culverts from the A120. That may well need looking at again, because at the moment all we're dealing with is sort of saying it's flooded and can you do something, which is not, I think, what the council wants. I think the council wants a whole overview of the situation there for a longer term, well, for a solution rather than, as someone said, sticking tape.
Definitely, yes, definitely happy to do that. I mean, I know you do Finchingfield as well, and we're more than happy to have some beavers as well to create some dams or something. We can have the rain beavers. Just saying. Yeah. But no, I mean, I think that's for us. I mean, the flooding issue, is one of the major,
Frozen.
We've also got photos of which should be useful to keep a record of what's going on as well, which I think on the website there's quite a few photos of the situation. So if we could sort of do it like that on a time frame basis, might be a good idea.
Well, I'll liaise through. Oh, Chairman's disappeared, I think. If I liaise through Sarah, perhaps we can put. I mean, basically, give me what you want and the issues, and I'll certainly get that in. But my apologies for not having forwarded the email of the 27th, which you now have, Sarah and the chairman.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Councillor Butland. Yeah. I've received that tonight, and I did share that round. Yeah. Whilst we just wait for the chair to come back, I'm happy to compile all the comments that I've received direct from residents, businesses, and anything from our councillors as well, and I'll present that to you. If you could either discuss with us how we're going to take it forward or take it forward on our behalf, that would be very good, because we do want a final solution. We don't want it to carry on any further.
Could I through you, Madam Chairman, if you're there in the ether, could I suggest that we perhaps set up a Zoom meeting for the three of us, if you give me some convenient times, and then we can put together what we'd like to do.
Yes, that sounds acceptable. Okay. Thank you. Yes, that'd be good. Can we just pause for a moment while we see if the chair can rejoin, please, before you carry on? Because I'm sure she'll be interested in any further updates that you have. I think she's just got a technical issue.
I'm finished, but I did see on the chat someone had a vaccination question.
Yes, that was me, Councillor Butland.
Oh, sorry, right.
I just had a query today that was forwarded to me privately about Chelmsford Racecourse. I understand that's opened as a vaccination centre, and the concern is the slopes at the racecourse may not be suitable for everybody that has mobility issues. It's fine if you can walk and you're mobile. I just wondered if they were making use of the golf buggies that they normally have for people for events there.
Ideally, I thought it would be better if they used the back entrance in and out, because that brought the car park right
Yes.
outside the buildings.
Mhm.
However, if you've used that way, there is a tunnel, and of course it would mean traffic having to give way.
Yes.
When you have conferences there and they use it, it's all right because everybody arrives at the beginning of the conference and leaves at the end. So
Mhm.
they are using the main one, which, as you quite rightly say, is a fair walk from there down under the actual course and up the other side. But
Mhm.
they are providing, I have been assured, both wheelchairs, and they're also going to use the golf buggies that they use to when racing is there, etc. So
I was hoping that would be the case.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
they are aware of that. You know, for those who are walking, if it rains, you might get a bit wet, but people, I can see the NHS have tried their best
Yes.
there, and you know, I'd rather have somewhere where, you know, we might get a bit wet, but at least we'll get done.
Well, that's it. Yes, I just wanted to get a clear idea of the picture. I didn't want to put anything negative on social media because we had issues, obviously, with St Michael's Hospital. So we don't want to go down that route again. So it's good to get the facts, I think, before we publicise anything.
And I do know there's some 80 pluses. They're looking at this to cover people within a 15 to 20 minute radius of the race course. And I do know people got their, some people got their letters Friday and Saturday. There's more I know will have got them today. You don't get told it's at the race course. You ring the number, and you're either offered that, or if you're offered somewhere you don't fancy, like, I don't know, Colchester or Clacton, just say, can I go to the race course, and they'll book you in there.
Thank you for that.
Sarah, could I just add to, I was just going to say that my wife actually had her vaccination as an NHS employee there last week.
Yeah, they did a test, that's right.
And it's organised by it's mainly Army medics and was Army logistics. And I have to say, she said it was very, very well run. So hopefully that will make people feel a little bit better. It was
I'm
well
sure that
organised.
is the case. Yeah, it's just that I'm concerned before it gets blown up on social media, as these things do, that we have some facts to present to people so that they can be assured.
I don't know if it's still the Army that's doing it. That was the Army it was all Army personnel, really, Army medics, everything.
My understanding is that it's big enough to have 4 pods there, so they should be able to do a goodly number.
They do a lot. They do a lot. Yeah.
Well, that's useful, Councillor Willis. Thank you for that feedback, because I know they did a trial there last week with NHS staff to see how it would work.
Yeah, it went pretty well, I think.
Good.
Thank you. Sorry, the chair is just rebooting her equipment, so hopefully she should be back on very shortly. Councillor Butland, do you have any further updates at all?
No, that was the main things, yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Councillor Butland? Councillor Spencer?
Yes, Councillor Butland, I just wondered, did you have any chance to follow up? You know, I commented on the state of the Flitch Way around the village, because the signage and the gates and so forth were damaged, and it was part of an insurance claim. You were going to follow up on that to find out if there was any progress?
Yes, and I'm in not dispute, that's wrong. I'm having an interesting conversation with the legal department at Essex County Council, let's put it that way, about this thing. They are reluctant to authorise anything to be done until the insurance thing is sorted. So, I've hit a brick wall. It isn't a brick wall, but I am stuck at the moment on getting that forward. But I won't be letting go of it. And clearly, you know, we will get that stuff done as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. Because I think, Sarah, you'd hit the same brick wall, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Yes, I had, yeah. In a similar vein, Councillor Butland, have you heard any further on the street lights that have been taped up at all?
No, and I've also had some additional street lights given to me that are currently out on Shelford Road. I've got the numbers of them, thankfully, so which Paul very kindly forwarded on because someone had contacted him.
Yes.
Sorry, the tape ones, they will eventually take them down, but I cannot say when it will be.
I think because last time we asked you to look into it, there was sort of a rough time frame given, so they're not even given a time frame at all now.
They're just having to prioritise at the moment of where they've got staff available. But there is a commitment that they will be levelled off, and you know that unsightly thing with the yellow tape around will be taken. I've got it on my sort of ongoing thing to follow up, and I know Sarah, you'll give me a reminder as well that needs to be done.
Thank you, Councillor Butland. Unfortunately, the chair had quite a list for you that we'd sort of compiled between us.
Well, you can
I'm not sure if there was.
To me. It doesn't have to
Yes, I know. It's just
meeting.
useful to get any update for anybody that might be watching, that we've promised that we'll have you here, and it'll be useful to give them an update. But yeah, she should be back with us in a couple of minutes. I think I've covered more or less everything on her list.
Okay, fine.
But if we could just allow her to rejoin, we can't really continue without her anyway.
While we're waiting, I've got, if we go back to the litter signs, I've got down one for Perkins Roundabout, one somewhere along the Flitch Way, one at Rayne Road on the entrance to the village, and one on Shalford Road. Is there anywhere else we could do with one? This is assuming that I can get them.
Councillor Willis, you do a lot of litter picking. What do you think? I'm muted, Councillor Willis, sorry.
Yeah, the only place I was possibly going to add to that would be possibly School Road somewhere. New road up, you know, by the bridge, somewhere there.
Or bridge.
Yeah, the bridge that goes over the bypass.
Yeah, oh, I know. Yeah.
I mean, somewhere there. I mean, actual fact, there's another Rayne. You're entering Rayne Village sign up there, isn't there? A bit further on. Yeah. That might be the place to have it actually.
Yeah, because it struck me that would be quite a good idea to have it underneath you're entering Rayne.
Yes, that's a good idea. Yeah, that is a good idea.
Don't throw your litter here type of thing, although it won't say that, of course, but that's the impression that it gives.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That is. That's where they should go, I think, underneath the village signs, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, for a short time, it sort of gives a bit of an impact, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if they were there a long time, that nobody would take any notice, but if they're there for 2 or 3 weeks, people might notice, and then we'll take them away. And I'm assuming that they're still, because I haven't been up to Galleys Roundabout for quite a while now.
Yeah, there's one up there, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't know if they're still there or whether they've been taken away. There
is one there still, I think. Yeah, Galleys Roundabout saying it's littering is illegal. Take it home. Yeah, I was just going to add to that. Actually, unfortunately, I noticed that somebody had chucked a lot of coffee cups at it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that is always.
I'm sure, but at least that'll accumulate them in one spot, and we can pick them up easy. Yeah.
But you do always, I'm afraid, get we call them. Let's be generous and call them bright sparks.
That's it. Yeah. That is generous.
Yeah, but
but I think it's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea to try it out for a while.
A lot of them, it's worth a try.
Definitely. Yeah.
Under the Rayne signs.
Can I just make a suggestion, councillors? And it's something that I've seen, I can't remember where, but I remember seeing it. Where there's a junction, like a roundabout, there's usually a big litter bin, which people are encouraged to throw their litter in while they're waiting at the roundabout or at traffic lights, which reduces the fact that people just chuck it out the window. I don't know if that might be something to think about going forward, not necessarily for Rayne, but for Braintree generally.
I think we want people to take their rubbish home, Councillor Merton.
I know, but I know people. That's what the ideal world is, but the reality is people don't.
I think we'd rather fine them if they throw anything out their car window and not give them the excuse of I was aiming for the bin but missed.
All right, okay, it was just an idea. I remember seeing it somewhere. Just to because that particular area was so prone to littering that they decided to put a massive sort of you know, like you used to chuck your toll money into things like that.
I think we should give credit where credit's due as well. Actually, the Braintree is pretty successful at prosecuting people who litter, and I'm not sure a lot of other councils do that.
I think it's nice if we can be really draconian and publicise the fact, you know, that these people have been caught. Personally, I would name and shame, but
so would I.
Apparently, that's frowned upon, so we shouldn't.
I don't think it should be.
No, I think, you know, if you're aware enough to chuck your litter out of the car, you should be aware enough to see your name in print.
Well, it goes along with the drink driving. If you're prosecuted, your name goes in the paper. So why shouldn't it be in litter?
Yeah.
You know.
But, you know, I'm just glad that we're prosecuting and winning.
Oh, absolutely.
Can I say it's like all these kind of things, we need to go back to education and educating people, because it's the kids of today are going to be the teenagers and the drivers tomorrow and the people that throw things out and all that kind of stuff. When I was teaching in Basildon, we had a big hit many years ago, right the way down from primary school to secondary school and whatever. And believe it or not, we noticed a difference, I think, because the pressure from children on parents is also something that's quite relative. So perhaps we need to get into the primary schools and do some work. And I know that they would welcome anything like that. Environment is a good thing, and kids are very much into the environment. Might be a thought.
Good idea. Good idea.
Dusty bin. What happened to him?
Sarah, I did give an undertaking.
Excellent.
I would join another parish council, not for their meeting, but to help them on something else at 8:30, because I thought I'd be done. Is there, if there's anything else, well, we can pick it up because we'll have the one-to-one.
The Zoom, yes.
And then if there's anything else, but I notice it's now 8:28 and
she's back.
I mean, I've had to come via the app. I just cannot get my computer to fire up quick enough. Whatever happened, it just kind of like all crashed. Everything just went on me. So I do really apologise for that.
We were just working through Councillor Butler, the list for Councillor Butland, Dan, but I think we have covered everything. Councillor Butland has another meeting to get to. So we did discuss having a Zoom meeting, the three of us, to discuss the issues with the Perkins roundabout at a time that's mutually convenient. So we can pick up any other issues for Councillor Butland then as well.
Yeah, absolutely fine, not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Sorry about that. I do apologise.
Cheers then.
Thank you,
everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Graham.
Cheers then.
Oh dear, so sorry. Yeah, thank you for filling in and doing all the other bits, Sarah and Paul, I'm guessing. So yeah, we don't know what happened there, but never mind. There's technology for you. Okay, moving on to the councillor co-option. So I'm on my iPad and I've got to get used to a completely different screen, which is thoroughly annoying. Obviously we've got Dawn Picton and David Sayers, two applicants that wish to apply to be on the parish council. Should we let ladies go first? I'm not sure I can see everybody. Dawn, would you like to go first and tell us why you would like to be a councillor, please?
Hi everybody. Well, I grew up in the village. I've moved away, I've come back, and the village is just home. I've worked for the police as a PCSO and gained quite a lot of experience of what neighbourhood issues tend to be at the forefront. And I've just got to the point now where I'd like to get the opportunity to give Rayne something back, because it gave me such a lovely upbringing being in the village. And obviously it's such a lovely place for me to bring up my children. And I'd like to kind of work with people that want to keep it in that kind of same genre, as well as moving with the times, but still keeping that nice village feel. And obviously all of the issues that face us as a village, from simple things like the littering, which becomes very frustrating, to all of the other slightly bigger issues as they go. So to be honest, it's a very simple reason for me. I just hope to be able to give something back to a wonderful village with a lot of lovely people in it.
Thank you. What kind of skills do you think you can bring to the council?
It's a really hard one, because a lot of my skills probably lay more in financial, because that's what I've done for the last 15 years, working as bookkeepers, payrollers, things like that. Obviously, I worked for the police for a couple of years as PCSO, so I'm quite used to talking to all sorts of people from different generations. I haven't massively got any hang-ups, issues or otherwise that make it difficult, and I love to talk to everybody. Especially when I'm out walking the dog and things like that. You know, my walks end up being rather long because I end up chatting to people. So really, it's more kind of my life skills in terms of like what I did when I was a PCSO, dealing with the traffic issues, the littering, any neighbourhood disputes, things like that. All of those sorts of things might come into play. But obviously as well, I've got quite a logical brain with having a financial background, things like that. So, you know, that's probably my main things that I can bring to the table for you.
Thank you. Do any other councillors have any questions for Dawn? I have to say, I can't see you all. I've just got a couple of grey boxes. Tom, can you help? I've got Councillor Eldred as a complete black box, so I can't see his video feed. And I've got 2 grey boxes, which have got nothing on them.
That may be the ones that haven't got their video on, Grace. Councillor Meehan and the other applicant, perhaps.
I've got the same, Chairman, if it helps.
I'm just not sure why I can't see Mike.
I think you could add.
I can see Councillor Eldred I'm on the mobile app.
Yeah, see, I've had to switch to the app because
You can only get 9 on there, Anne, Chair. You can only get 9 people up.
Yeah, I can only see 9.
I've got 10. That's weird.
I've got 12, but I've got 2 grey boxes, and I can't see Councillor Eldred either.
You're not
missing
anything. Can I just
say? Oh, I can't see you, Karen. Oh, this is ridiculous. This is, oh, goodness sake. Has it been like the whole time, Karen?
Yes, it has, the whole time.
Hello.
Oh, I can see Mike.
There he is.
I can see Mike, yeah.
Mike is back now. Okay.
Yeah. You can only see 9 people on the app, generally.
Okay, that's weird. Okay, councillors, do any of you have any questions for Dawn? No. Thank you, Dawn. Then that's really great of you to give us those ideas of what you'd like to why I'd like to be a parish councillor. David Sayers, are you still there?
Like a sale.
I do wonder if you've had a complete breakdown.
I think he just looks like he's switched off, I would have said. I've not got any visual here.
He's still in the list of people.
Is he on your list?
Yeah.
Well, that's assuming he'll rejoin.
Has anybody got a
could we send
mobile
him a
number
message?
for him? Yeah, text him.
Bear with.
Well, for me,
Yeah, there's a mobile number on his application, actually. There's
That's
Tom,
if he rejoin.
Tom, can you kick me out as well? Because I think I may have finally got my computer up and running, so I can join via things. So can you kick me out of this, and then I'll try and.
I'm just gonna. I'll ring Mr. Sayers. Okay.
Thank you.
Your
Sorry
sound's
about
not
this,
very good,
everyone.
Anne, either.
Oh, here he is.
There he is.
There he is.
You're back, Dave.
Itself. So keep.
Mr. Sayers, could you unmute yourself, please?
So,
You've muted it again.
No, you're still muted. That's it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Thank you.
It keeps turning itself on and off. I don't know why. I'm going on a computer next time, if there is a next time. Right. Sorry, you want to know about me?
Yeah, I'm back in the room again now. I've managed to get back on my computer so I can see everybody. I'm sorry for the issues that we've had. I can't apologise enough. But yes, David, give us, tell us about yourself. Why you'd like to be part of the parish council?
Okay. If you suddenly find I've stopped talking, I haven't. So somebody put their hand up or something, and I'll see what I can do. Well, basically, since I've been walking around, I've seen how much development there is in the village. I like the village. I like living here, and I'd like to see it remain a village. I know about Brook Green. I'd like to participate in the council and help to perhaps shape the future of the village for the next few generations. I've lived here for probably nearly 40 years. In terms of what I can bring to the parish council, I've worked in inner London with refugees, and I've a considerable experience with different faiths and beliefs, which may be relevant in the future. But more particularly, I'm very good at researching things. I've had a look at the Brook Green appeal, and I can see a couple of areas where it differs from the original, and I think there'll need to be. Brook Green are almost certainly on it. They're very good. I was very impressed with what they'd done in their original work against green development, and I don't think they need much support from me. But it won't be just Brook Green. There'll be other ones in the future that need dealing with. But there may be changes in the future too, in terms of what's allowed in buildings. So if possible, I'd like to join the council and offer my skills as a researcher, as someone with knowledge of other cultures. That's trouble with my homemade tablet stand, and really just help the village to remain a village for the future. Also, a fine place to live, which is a very nice place to live, and to keep the environment as it is. I was quite concerned to see comments on the Brook Green appeal by the developer in relation to listed buildings, which struck me as a bit strange. And I think that's an area that might need a bit of careful monitoring. But as I say, the Brook Green people have done a splendid job on their previous oppositions to the development. So basically, if I joined the council, I would consider myself on probation and there to sit in, as I am doing at the moment, for a few years until I get the hang of it. That would be it, and to offer whatever skills. I've got a lot of time and an active mind, and I'm not that good at running anymore. Let's put it like this: I've got very severe arthritis, but I can sit and use a computer to research things. So that's what I'm offering for you. Okay.
Thank you. Have councillors got any questions for either of our two candidates this evening?
No.
No?
I do have one question
No.
there, obviously. As we've had an email from a certain other councillor, are we actively considering a second position at the moment?
No, not tonight. We have to advertise that we have a vacancy, and then it has to be advertised again. So no, there's only one vacancy tonight. I think what we need you to do is if both of you can mute and turn your cameras off. I appreciate that you might still be here, but obviously we can't have you influencing with facial expressions or anything on a councillor's deliberations. So if you could just turn your mute yourself and turn your camera off until we ask you to come back, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Okay, councillors. Do we discuss or do we just vote?
It's up to you, Chair. If you wish to discuss first, and then you can take a vote on each candidate in turn, and then that will determine the candidate that you then vote on to join the parish council.
Okay, thank you.
Feedback on you.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of feedback just then. I think both are quite worthy candidates, and both have, I think, different things that can give to the role. So yeah.
Based on that equality, I guess the only thing I can say is who applied first.
No, because we need to vote anyway, so it doesn't come down to.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to vote on whoever applied first.
Yeah, they're. I think, you know, in a way that they are both with very different capabilities. I think of what can bring to the role. You know, there's always plenty of research to do. There's also, you know, plenty of financial, obviously, implications for the parish council going forward. Meeting people out and about around the village. You know, is getting out there and seeing, you know, seeing people as well. So totally appreciative of both candidates. Councillor Willis.
Muted.
You're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. The only thing I was going to say really is it's a bit of a misfortune here. I guess we can't say anything about that, but obviously we are going to have another vacancy. I know we can't use it tonight, but it's a bit of a misfortune that we've got two applicants here. And
there's nothing we can do about that.
Chair,
is there anything we can do? Is what I'm trying to say.
No.
Chair, could I just say, could we say to whoever's not successful to reapply?
They are more than welcome to reapply for the other position.
Yeah.
As and when but we have procedures that we have to do.
Appreciate that.
It was alluded to tonight, you know, like Finchingfield. I mean, luckily Rayne has never asked us to have a by-election. You know, they're just happy for us to co-opt. So, you know, if that is the position after Sarah has been in contact with BDC and the elections office and what have you, yes, there will be there will be another place advertised in due course. But for tonight, we can only co-opt one.
Chair, but can we say to them, if you're not, whoever's not successful, please reapply because there will be another vacancy.
Well, it's up to them, isn't it? If they want to reapply, it will be advertised as it was before. So
what I'm saying is that, you know, we want you to join, but just by tonight, that person's not successful, you know, please reapply because you're likely to be successful. Or
possibly, you know,
You don't know how many we're going to get next time.
No, I know, but you know.
No.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but You know, you don't want them to feel that, oh, well, you know.
Yes, Sarah.
Sorry, Chair, just to clarify the procedure, sorry that not everybody's aware, I have to inform the Elections Department at Braintree Council, which I did today, of Mr Tibbitt's resignation, and also to confirm that his register of interest must be removed from the website, which we are linked to. Braintree Council will then produce a notice, which has been emailed to me, and I've agreed to display from Thursday, and that gives about 21 days for 10 electors in the village to call an election. If that date passes and nobody calls an election, then we can go ahead and advertise the vacancy for co-option. So each applicant must be voted on to the parish council. It cannot be assumed that because there are vacancies that somebody will naturally become part of the parish council. Otherwise, it's not a lawful election. It's just that although you're not going through the process you would at a May election, you still have to take a vote. Even tonight, when we get down to one candidate, you'll still need to propose and approve that candidate joining the parish council.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, hope
Well,
that
basically,
clarifies.
I would really like to re-examine the candidates, because the obvious thing from my perspective is obviously we need somebody actively want to join and cover the sort of gravel pit. So that'll be the obvious thing, you know. If we have to decide on one, then I would suggest we need to sort of like start asking questions about suitability to the bits that are not covered at the moment.
Yeah, Councillor Eldred.
Can I just say that's kind of how we have a re-emergence of skills, though, don't we? As some people drop off, there might be some people sat here with skills that we're not utilising at the moment anyway, and that's how things change within councils and structures, isn't it? I think if you're looking for somebody for some specific role, I think it's a bit of a narrow way to approach it, personally.
Councillor Spencer.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Mike said. I think we should be looking for someone with a rounded skill set. That's the way that the role was advertised. And then if there are specialisms, to Councillor Rippingdale's point, we need to look across the whole parish council team to see how we pick that up.
Thank you, Councillor Spencer. Councillor Willis.
And just to add to what Mike, you know, we're not looking for particular skills, but we will be looking for a village hall representative at some point as well, won't we?
Definitely. I mean, yes, there are specific, you know, there are roles, you know, and obviously come May, we'll be looking at the committees and all that kind of thing, again, in due course anyway. So with that, do you want to ask any of the candidates any questions before we vote? Bearing in mind the conversation we've just had. No, is that a no from everybody? Okay, Councillor Meehan, can you turn your camera back on, see if you're stable enough to, assuming she's still here somewhere.
She did pop up a moment ago, Chair, with her camera on, so we'll try and come back in. Oh, she's struggling.
No, she's struggling. Okay, Grace, we're going to have to let you put a hand up at the right time on the meeting chat then, if that's okay. Oh, and she's struggling to hear. Okay. I think if she's struggling to hear, what I think we do, if we do our vote, and then we can message Councillor Meehan what her vote is.
Yes, I can do that, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I have a show of hands for Dawn Picton, please?
Two, three, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, just waiting for Dawn. Yep, 8. Okay, I have 8 votes, Chair.
Okay, and the votes for David Sayers, please. Have you got that registered, Sarah?
No, I haven't, Chair. Sorry.
Oh,
Good. 1.
Oh, we have a Councillor Meehan back. David.
Thank you. Thank you.
And have we got a vote registered from Grace? Oh, yes. I've just seen it. So, this is such a bizarre way of having to do a co-option. So, Sarah, can you just confirm the vote, how the way the vote went, please?
So I had 8 for Dawn Picton, and I had 1 vote for David Sayers.
Fantastic, thank you. Can I get them both to turn their videos back on while we just finish this up?
You need to propose and second.
Yes, I appreciate that.
The final candidate, sorry. Okay, thank you.
David, can you turn your camera on? Can we do it?
Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you both of you. Thank you for your patience while we deliberated. The vote was 8 for Dawn, 1 to David. I just need to ask the council to propose and second that we invite Dawn Picton onto the parish council, please. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Councillor Eldred and Councillor Agata. And can we all vote whether we are in favour of this co-option, please? Thank you. Okay, that means Dawn, that you're duly elected to Rayne Parish Council. I'm really sorry, David, at this time you weren't successful, but as you heard in our deliberations, you know, there is going to be another place coming up in due course. So if you fancy another go at it in a couple of months' time, you'll be able to perhaps reapply if you so wish.
Okay, thank you.
And so, yeah, if you could lead the meeting now, David, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you,
David. Welcome to Dawn.
Very dark Dawn.
Dawn's in the dark.
Dawn in the dark. Put your lights on.
Chair, can I ask for the declaration of acceptance of office to be signed physically, please?
Yes, Dawn, we need to be able to see you to sign your declarations. So we need to be able to see it. And if you could put a light on, because we can't really see you very much at the moment. Gonna have a guided tour around the house.
Has Sean got you saving on electricity, Dawn? Is that why?
Tom, did you see Grace's message?
Let's just take me.
You okay there, Dawn?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Since I've come back on, it's just gone really dark. I'm just trying to find a way of turning it back off. If it helps. Is it any better?
Ish. If you could just put the camera down so we can see you sign the piece of paper, that will be sufficient for Sarah and myself to be able to see that you've signed your declaration.
Hang on, I'm going to.
Technology this evening's been amazing.
Challenge.
Oh,
challenge.
That's more lively, isn't it? Hang on. Right, there we go. Can you see that?
Very good. Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dawn.
Oh.
Lovely. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to the council. Obviously, going forward, Sarah will be in contact, as myself, as will Tom, with all the IT and everything that you'll need and what have you. But
Brilliant.
obviously we need to carry on with this meeting and somehow try and get to the end of it, because there's so much more to do still. So, but yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to roads, transport and public safety. The next item would be defects. I think all the defects and everything has been really have really been passed on to Councillor Butland at this time, really, haven't they?
I did say to Councillor Butland that there may be one or two things on the list, but I tried to cover everything that we did between us. But if not, we can refer to anything at the Zoom meeting that he's going to arrange.
Definitely. I know there's definitely a few more potholes coming because of the surface water. And I think over time we'll just have to log them and wait, unfortunately. But if there's any other defects, Councillor Merton.
Yeah, there's sorry, I have to do this because I can't hear myself. I'll be shouting at you. Just in the high street, I noticed that the road is breaking up and water's gathering. It's just past the post office as you go towards Braintree on the left-hand side, where it used to be Laurel's stores. That'll need looking at again, and if it keeps freezing, those potholes will only get bigger. Yeah.
There's definitely potholes opening up, and I know there's lots of standing water along Capel Road outside the school, but that was just water running off the field onto the road. So I think just obviously Sarah sent out a document last week with links on how councillors can actually log issues themselves, because that would be quite handy. So if you do see a pothole or something, please log it. It's really handy. Okay.
Chair, could I just one thing? There's been this long continuing saga of this manhole cover that's missing down Pod's Lane, which is diabolically dangerous, if I'm honest. Going down there. And I understand that it now falls under the remit of Essex County Council. So that's the latest I've heard, anyway. So we've gone for every utility in the country, apparently, and
yes, that was very good, wasn't it? The villager that did that was amazing. Was that Mr.
Nev
Walker?
Yeah, Nev Walker. Yeah, brilliant job. But very persistent. But he still hasn't got it. We still haven't got a cover on it.
But the thing is, sorry, Councillor Willis, but there is a cover there. I think it just needs a question of lifting up and putting over, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It's concrete, and it's not actually the cover. The iron cover has gone missing. That's a concrete surround, that bit. So you can't lift that up. No.
But isn't there the cover just a little bit further along?
I haven't seen it. If there is one, an iron cover.
Yeah, there is. It's next to it. But I think
that's another hole. That's another manhole.
No. I think it's physical.
I thought that was another manhole covering a manhole.
No, not that I'm aware of. I think it looks like something's hit the manhole cover and it slid it off it. That's what it seems to be.
I'm not convinced, but I'll have a look again if you want. But
it's up to you. I'll walk around and have a look with you if you like.
I'll have a look, but I mean, Neville seemed to think he could, he couldn't lift it anyway. But
no, you can't lift it.
No, it needs to.
It's I think the concrete that seals it in place is gone as well.
Oh, right.
I just got the impression it was two manholes. One got a cover on and one hadn't. That's what I thought. But
no. It might be damaged by a lorry or something like that, and it's broken the concrete that the manhole cover sits on, or something like that.
But if anybody falls down, they're going to hurt themselves. That's for sure.
I must admit, it has passed my mind, and then I get home and I forget about it, which is really bad. But I mean, there are a few
bollards,
cones around the village where there's been. I do wonder whether just to take a couple down there.
Yeah, I think there was one there at one time, and it's just moved.
Chair.
Yes, sorry, Councillor Davis.
Yeah, I actually tried to move the cover yesterday on my walk, and it is a very large cast iron grate. So where the hole is, all the haunching and concrete has been knocked out. It's obviously been hit by a vehicle, and it's moved just to the side of it. So the actual lid is still there, I couldn't even move it. So that is a minimum of a 2-person job with keys to lift that back into place. What it needs is lifting back into place and then rehaunching with a concrete mix or mortar mix to get it back into place. But I actually, as I walked past, thought, you know, I'm just going to pick it up and move it back. I couldn't even move it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think, yeah, we just, again, it's keeping an eye on and tracing messages. You know, that is like, say the villager has tried every single amenity. I really thought it was water looking down inside it because it looks like it's got stopcocks in it, but obviously they said no, it's not. So
nobody's owned up to it. Gas board, nobody. It's nobody's manhole.
It's the council's. It's the council's manhole. It's Essex County Council. Sorry.
But what's it doing?
Why don't we, if nobody's owning up to it, if we've got some sand laying around or some dirt somewhere, just fill the hole in?
You have to wonder what that hole's there for. It might be there for a reason.
It's definitely got some stopcocks or something down the bottom there.
I think some sort of cover, whether it's the cast iron one or not, something needs to go over the top of it because it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
It needs to be done properly as well, because if anybody tries to repair it and then there's an accident because of that, then we won't want to be held responsible.
But this is down to highways. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. It's highways. It's Essex County Council or highways.
I think perhaps another email. I've got some photos of it. Perhaps we'll do another email and say that it has been, and it's on the Rayne Essex Facebook page, isn't it? This conversation with all the updates from the villager. See if we can escalate it.
Yep.
How big is the hole? If I might ask, how big is the hole?
3 foot by 2, 3 foot by 2, something like that.
2 foot by 1 foot, I would have said.
Yeah, a bit bigger than that, I think.
2 foot by a foot hole in the road.
No.
That's a manhole cover. You've got about a 2.5 foot drop into the hole.
It's right on the side of the road, Paul, right on the grass verge.
Shall I take you some pictures and send them to you?
Well, I'm just thinking, if it's a big hole in the road, it's surely a traffic danger.
It's not in the road. It's not in the road.
It's on the side. It's on the verge.
It's on the verge.
But it's Pod's Lane, and people go up that verge all the time.
It's only very narrow,
I think the concern is also for any equestrians, and I think there are quite a lot of horse riders that use that, and they're concerned about a horse breaking a leg or something on it.
The chamber's about 2.5 foot deep, so it's quite a drop. And if somebody was walking along there at night, they could quite easily, you know, if they stepped to the side, if there was a car coming, fall down it quite easily.
Yeah.
And then at the very least, it wants a temporary barrier around it.
Yeah.
To stop
absolutely
people walking into it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I just wonder if you get a picture of it, Celia, and send it me.
I will.
With the location.
Yep.
I'll try.
I'll do you a
see if I can get operations to put some temporary barrier around it or something. Just to protect the members of the public, whilst who owns it and who fixes it is debated.
Well, I do give you just 3 words location as well. Do you know what the just 3 words location is?
I've heard of that, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's technology, Celia.
Very good idea.
But I will have a go.
Yeah. Well, apparently the council use it because I asked them.
Well, excellent. Yeah, give me that then, and then that at least will make sure that we know where it is.
Exactly.
And I just think if everyone's disowning it, if you like, there is a public danger to our residents, which we need to address as the council. I would have thought we have a duty of care to our residents, and if that means that somebody from operations goes down with a barrier or a sign, roadwork sign or something that puts over the hole, that will at least secure it for the time being whilst it's repaired, as it were. It's worth a go. Send it me and I'll have a go with
I've just sent you 3 photos that I took I
yeah.
put it on the council WhatsApp, and I've just sent you the 3 photos.
Okay. Oh yeah. Got it.
Without any explanation, but you'll know what
Yeah,
they're about.
no, I know exactly what they are, and if I can get the what 3 words location, that would be brilliant. And then I'll see if I can get them to do something, at least as a temporary measure. It just seems crazy that everyone's denying it when all it wants is a plastic barrier around it or something.
Or the lid put back on, better still.
Yeah, but that would be ideal. But if they don't own it, they won't fix it. But they might see the benefit of stopping people falling down it.
Okie dokie. Any other defects? I think we really have done the village quite well tonight.
Yep.
Okay, I'm moving on to Stansted Airport. I haven't heard of any updates. I know the appeal hearing is happening. I've got nothing else to add really, and if anyone else does. No. Policing issues. Obviously, we had the police in the village the other day doing a speed watch, which I think was welcomed. Although I think a lot of people were kind of like saying, what was the point when the flood the other end is stopping people from coming through the village anyway?
I did point out to them, they were a couple of very nice men, but it was unfortunately the road was closed at one end, so there was no traffic coming through.
But at least you know that they've made the effort, and hopefully they'll be back at a later date.
It sent a message. It sent a message.
Definitely. And obviously we've got the enforcement with the littering, so that's all good. Moving on to administration and the clerk's report. Sarah, have you got anything to add to your report since you wrote it?
Nothing further to add, thank you, Chair.
Anyone have any questions on Sarah's report? No. No. Thank you. Okay, moving on to policies. There's the health and safety policy. It's just an update. There was after we ratified it, Sarah was just going through and then found a couple of bits that just needed changing. I think from memory it was 9B and C. It's to do with the working environment that Sarah wasn't, because obviously she's obviously generally lone work, so she wouldn't be able to call a first aider within the building. So just a couple of little tweaks. Any questions? And is everyone happy with that? Can we have a proposer and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Willis and Councillor Eldred. Thank you. The second policy is a new policy. It's a training policy for councillors and our employees. This was written by Mike, but it was reviewed at the personnel committee, who made a couple of tweaks, which are in the policy that you see before you today. And I think the personnel committee were happy to recommend its implementation. Does the rest of the council have any other questions for it? Can I have a proposer and a seconder then, please? Councillor Willis and Councillor Rippingale. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the emergency plan. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago when we nearly had to implement it, Sarah obviously then realised that there was some updates required. This is a document that we can't share on the screen for this meeting because some of it has some sensitive information on it. But one of the main reasons for its update is that it has Don Smith as a main point of contact. And obviously Don's not on the council anymore, so we need another emergency contact. Councillor Eldred.
Muted, Mike.
Can I just say there are a couple of typos on there as well, I noticed.
Okay.
I'll ping them across to you, Sarah, if you'd like.
Councillor Eldred?
Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, good. I can't remember what I was going to say. It was so long ago.
Was you going to volunteer to be a contact?
Oh, right, yes.
That's what I assumed you were like waving your hand for.
Me too.
Yes.
Sorry.
Can we add a third contact for that, Sarah?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to think
Can I-
really. I prefer it there to be a named contact as well as having the duty council. I mean, the tree is big enough. We can have more than 2, 3 contacts.
Don't we see the duty councillor role as a COVID related thing, really, don't we? I'd have thought the emergency plan would be a more permanent thing.
I mean, I'm happy to carry on with the duty councillor role past COVID, to be fair, because I think it does give the opportunity anyway. But I mean, if we can have more, I'm more than happy to, as chair, to have my name down as emergency contact. And if Councillor Eldred wants to go on there as well, that's absolutely fine. I think the more you can have as a contact in the emergency, the better.
I don't mind having my contact details on there as well, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Davis.
I also noticed on there that it said that gas is just reading through it, that gas is supplied to the whole village, and that isn't strictly true.
Yes.
Because I don't get gas, and I'm sure Councillor Davis doesn't get gas.
Correct, I don't get gas.
It stops at number 47.
Blimey, I'm lucky then. Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Just to remind councillors that this document is reviewed every year, generally sort of September, October time, I think. But I think with the recent flooding issue, it's the first time that perhaps any of us have read it in particular detail, because I had to try and find a number to call, as I assumed the district council out of hours would be able to help, and they weren't. So that's why I had to kind of read through it a bit more. But I would encourage councillors to take a bit more note of the detail of the plan. It may be that I'm not available, so it is an important document. There are templates to complete as well if we do go into a full emergency situation. It wasn't a few weeks ago, because we still fortunately had one route in and one route out of the village, but it was almost at a point where we were an island. So I have taken the opportunity to take a few things out and add the Arriva bus number, for example. But yeah, I can certainly amend the issue with the gas, if that would be helpful.
Thank you. And the other bit that we needed to update was just the church ministers. Obviously, we had Reverend Beth Bendry down, and I think we think that Roman probably has to go in there at the moment until that position is filled. To be fair, he's definitely my first port of call with anything to do with the church at the moment. So,
yep.
I think that's it, isn't it, Sarah?
Yes, Chair. Thank you.
To be fair, you could probably put the vicar and Roman in, because Roman is more permanent, isn't he?
Lives in the village.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thank you everyone for stepping up there. That's brilliant. Okay, moving on to health and well-being and the duty councillor scheme update. Obviously, that's something that we've implemented for 3 weeks now. It hasn't been that busy, at all. I think in the second day, I took a phone call, and it was, from a family that suddenly had to go into isolation and needed some medication. And actually, they were one of our councillors' neighbours, so I passed the job on to them. And I think from then that council's also done some extra getting and going a bit while they were in isolation. Mike mentioned the call the other day about the flooding and that kind of thing. So, and there's been a few recycling sacks, not necessarily through the phone number, but through Facebook, to be fair, and emails. So it's not a lot to do. There's four of us in rotation doing this, but I still feel it's a really worthwhile thing to carry on. We'll advertise, keep advertising periodically, that we can do this and help people. Yeah, Councillor Eldred, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just think it's another fantastic addition to communicating and having some communication and being available to communicate with the people that we represent. I think, like you said earlier, I think even out of lockdown, it does provide that communication. And I think post lockdown, we're going to look back and say what was the good bits of it. And I think probably talking to everybody, and you look at the media, one of the things is people are communicating more with each other and looking after each other and looking out for each other. So I think to stop it post lockdown would be a great shame. And it's as they say, it's not arduous. It's not phones ringing all the time, but if it does ring, you can be of help. And I think I certainly think it's a really good idea, and I think we should keep it for at least 12 months and then review it after that. That would be my proposal.
Yeah, agree. I think it takes some pressure off of Sarah as well. From from the parish council. I mean, ideally, Miss Sarah's hours are the CIP hours and a bit more. So, villagers do have somewhere of contacting the parish council at all times if they want to as well. So. No, thank you for all involved so far. Moving on to Slowways. Councillor Eldred's going to head up this one.
Yes. Anybody who doesn't know what Slowways is, Sarah, do you have that little slide? My assistant will now put a slide up in front of us. I feel like Paul Daniels here. Here we go. No.
Bear with.
Keep talking. Slowways was being developed pre-COVID. It is a system of joining up by means of bridle paths, walking paths, villages and towns, basically. It's started off and it's mushroomed into lots and lots of villages getting involved and plotting and kind of identifying walkways. It has kind of two initiatives. One is to make communication paths between areas. The other one is to provide walking opportunities for villagers or for anybody, for people in towns to get to the villages and everything else on bridleways safely. When it first came out, I immediately thought of Simon, so I sent it to Simon because it was obviously something that I thought would be up his alleyway. But unfortunately, that's not happened. So I'd still like the parish council to get involved in it, and I have got somebody who's prepared to take it on as a co-opted person for the council, who's heavily into trail running and walking and everything else. It seems that something that the government are encouraging parish councils, town councils to get involved in. So I'd like us to register, and in fact I have registered. I wouldn't like us to, I already have. So I've registered to myself, you see, so I'm not taking it up. Again, it's something, has anybody walked down the Flitch Way recently and tried to get past people? It is the busiest highway I've seen for ages. But there are lots and lots and lots more routes out there, and Slowways is this initiative. have we got it up there, Sarah? This picture.
Sorry, Councillor Eldridge, I'm having trouble because it's been sent as a screenshot, so I haven't been able to share it, and I can't reload it as a PDF. Yeah, no, sorry about that. Technicians let me down.
I'll send it out as an email.
Yeah.
I'll send the email out, and if you have a look at the screenshot, if you go to Slowways, it's very, very evident what it's all about. And it's basically getting people out and about onto the bridle ways around what we've got loads in Rayne, and plotting them nationally. And it just seems something that we could do. It seems quite a nice thing, really.
I agree. I think it's something that, yes, I think we should be involved with.
Yep, definitely. Good idea.
And it's slowways.com, SLOWWAYS, slowways.com. If you go on there, you'll see whatever. And the guy I'm talking to, who's doing some work for me and plotting around the paths of Rayne, will tell us a little bit more. Hopefully, I'll get him down to the next meeting and do a little bit of a presentation.
Fantastic.
So that's that. We've got a big agenda. We'll move on.
Thank you, Councillor Eldred. Thank you, everybody.
Presume we are keeping to the prescribed footpaths.
Yeah.
Because obviously we do have some permissive footpaths in Rayne as well.
Yeah, that's one of the things, I think, Trevor, is to find the missing ones and to upkeep the ones that are there and everything else. So yeah, as I say.
Well, I've got the official footpath map if you do need it.
Yeah, fantastic. Any help, we'll come back to you. Cheers.
Is it possible you could share that, Trevor? I'd love to have a look at that as well. But
it's on a massive A3.
Oh, is it?
I can't photocopy. I can't do anything with that, but I can show you. Obviously, I know where they all are.
I think I took a picture of the scan of it at one point. Actually, I'm sure I did. I might have had to hold it through my phone. I'm sure we had it out on the table in the CIP, and I had to get up high and take a photo of it or something.
It's
but,
a big map, certainly.
Well, that's probably not easy at the moment, no.
No. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, moving on to circulation and correspondence. Obviously the one main bit of correspondence we've had, which you would have always seen, and we need to note, is the resignation of Simon Tibbets. Other than that, I don't think we have any other correspondence, do we, Sarah, at this time?
Am I still on? No, I am. Sorry. No, we don't, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to ECC Minerals and Waste mineral extraction site. The discharge of conditions are just progressing, and they just keep coming every now and again. Despite COVID, they are getting through them. The only thing that we have been warned that there might be some like archaeological type digs going on at the site soon, because that's one of the discharges that has just recently happened. So there might be some movement, but it will be an archaeological dig, not them starting. So
they've got to get through the water first.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need their canoe to get out of Rayne, so good luck to them. Okay, moving on to the planning applications. The first one is the retention of the boundary fence at 2 Hunts Lane.
I was going to say, I've just had a look at the planning application, and it's required because he's so close to the road. That's the reason, supposedly. Yeah,
he has moved the fence right to the pathway, where there was a slot of land. The fence has been kind of moved basically right onto the edge of the path. But
in which case, the other person is BDC then, surely. It's common land.
Yeah, I don't. What Councillor Willis said earlier on about it being a civil thing, I'm not completely sure it's a
planning thing.
A planning thing for us, but obviously BDC have enforced a planning application for the fence, which makes me go around in circles, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, from the planning perspective, like I say, it seems to be because it's right next to the road. So that from that point of view, I guess we just know, I suppose, because it's not as we say, it's this civil thing, but by whoever the land
belongs
is
to.
taken.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a tall fence, but it's all quite nice and tidy and what have you. I mean, Bromwell Road has a fence, a high fence at the end of it, adjacent to the pavement. So,
Chair, can I just make a comment?
yes, please, Councillor Davis.
Yeah, I mean it's a 6-foot garden fence, which is what probably 90% of Rayne residents have, bordering their gardens on the edges of roads. I suppose the argument about is it on their land or common land is not a planning issue, as I think Councillor Willis said earlier. That's a civil matter, and that will be for BDC to perhaps comment on. But yeah, from my point of view, they've put a garden fence up. Obviously, they've got to go for retrospective planning as a result, but I don't have any objections.
Okay. I might propose no comment then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a proposal and a seconder, Sarah? My mind's gone blank. No. Okay, good. Moving on to the single-storey rear extension at 18 New Road. Again, I feel there's no comment. It's almost just rebuilding what's there and just a little bit wider and making probably good of what's a bodge job from before. So,
Yeah, if Jimmy's happy with it, I guess I am happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy's happy. The world's fine. So, yeah. No comment, everybody.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, planning applications to note a certificate of lawfulness to a proposed garden room at Old Chapel House, the street, and planning results. The erection of a single-storey rear extension at 3 the Worst had prior approval required and has been given, and the change of use from agricultural land to equine paddock with the installation of a post and rail fence to Rayne Hall Farm, that was granted. And obviously the notification of the planning appeal for land south of Gilder Terrace and north of the Flitchway, also known as Brook Green Junior. To update the council, the No Brook Green action group have been obviously in contact with each other and discussing whether they're going to go for Rule 6 status again. Obviously, we don't know the date of the appeal yet, and obviously we're heavily reliant on Emma being able to really do most of it, but obviously with a lot of what help from us. So that's where the action group are at the moment. From a parish council point of view, I believe submissions to the appeal have to be done by the 15th of February. So I will have a look at the submission that we put in for the original planning application, have a look at that, perhaps reword some of it, and then we'll send that through. In the meantime, I'll start getting our submission for the appeal hearing because I'm bound to be back at work by the time it gets to appeal. Unless the schools are like out into the summer, then I'm probably laughing, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Chair, I suppose the case would be helped somewhat if the appeal came up after the local plan was adopted. I mean,
well, that would be nice.
Do we have some idea of what timescale we're really thinking of on the local plan?
We need Section 2 in place.
Section 2 in place, yeah.
It's not going to be starting to be consulted until this summer, is it, Councillor Eusden?
No. No, I don't think anyone's expecting any problems with Section 1 being adopted now it's been amended. And that will be in February. Colchester and Tendring have already approved their Section 1. The only interesting development may be changes in numbers and 5-year housing supply, which currently we may have, but once it's adopted, we may not have. Not that that's going to affect Section 2 at all, but it just means the period between February and July, we will have to be on our guard for developers trying to sneak in. But I think the date for July is provisional. I've been told that currently we don't need to issue a new call for sites for Section 2. There's plenty in Section 2 to cover our requirements with what's already been built, both planned and what's the word, opportunistic speculative developments, but they've counted towards the numbers that we need. So I don't think Section 2 will be an issue where, you know, there'll be fighting over it and all the rest of it. I think it would go through quite easily if the inspector is, you know, of a mind to do so.
Just depends when this appeal hearing is, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that, you know, we have to realistically look at Section 2 taking. I mean, I don't have no experience of how long these things take. So, but I would imagine if it's not contentious, which I don't think it is, but who knows? We could be comfortably in by the end of the autumn, but I think that might be too late for the appeal.
Yeah, I'll be right.
I think so. Oh well, we shall have to wait and see.
Yeah, but I mean, but it may make a difference, of course, if Section 1 is approved.
Yes.
That might help our case a bit, or it might make our case worse. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's the nuances of planning are frankly foreign, and it's, you know, an area to be avoided if you possibly can. But it's, you know, because it is just a nightmare. Yeah. You just can't please people. So,
Councillor Spencer.
Yeah, I think I may have mentioned this at a previous meeting, but when the parish council does its follow-up response, there are a couple of things that have changed since the original response was put in. One would be COVID and the more increased usage of the Flitch Way, and the other would be the flooding around Sun Lido.
Yes.
And which is obviously very close to the site, so maybe those points could be added in.
Yeah, once I've updated it and once I've had a look at it and updated it, I'll send it around to councillors for comment, because obviously that has to be sent off before our next council meeting.
But the pictures of the floods at Sun Lido would be very.
We have some.
Yes, I thought you might.
and the fact that we've got slowway, the Flitch we're proposing about slowways, aren't we? That's it sounds like a bit of a government initiative, that, and
yeah,
that wouldn't fit well with a development right on top of it, would it really?
There was also there was an open letter, wasn't there, from Robert Jenrick this last week?
Yeah.
About I can't remember his terminology, but something to do with local people being much more in control of the type of development, and what was it called, beauty of the development or something to do with design and all the rest of it. So if they are genuinely thinking that way, then, you know, outright opposition to development on a site that's been ongoing for a number of years must surely come into the decision making, mustn't it?
You'd think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'll email out councillors once I've redrafted our appeal submission. So, okay, moving on to the Ashes Wall. We're trying to get this to a certain point. Unfortunately, we do need planning application to build the two walls that we need to build, which is a bit of a shame. We didn't think we would need to, but unfortunately we do. Being a parish council, we get the application at a reduced rate, so it'll be £103, wasn't it, Sarah? Can't remember
the exact figure, but I think it was around that sort of cost, but it depends on the area. that we define on the plan.
Yeah.
So that needs to be very precise because that will affect the fee that we pay.
Well, we've got better drawings drawn up for it now, so hopefully that will give you a better area. But yes, so basically, yes, the parish council does need to apply for planning permission. So do you have any questions, or can we have a proposer and a seconder for that process? Thank you. Councillor Eldred to propose and Councillor Willis to second.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start a planning application process. We've received the estimate for the bricks. The bricks can only come from Bulmer and Brick and the Bulmer Brick and Tile Company, because they have to be the ones that match the walls that are already there. Oh, excuse me. The cost came in at 3,500 plus VAT. So it is roughly what we were thinking. Obviously, this is just for information tonight. Ideally, with the best way in the world, I'd love to, if we agreed to proceed with the project, is to get the bricks ordered. But I need to give you councillors the full picture, and the tender has gone out to 5 companies in the last week, with an end date of the 22nd of February. So we will have the full picture of the cost of the Ashes wall for the March meeting.
Chair, could I just interrupt? Is that 3,500 just for the bricks?
Yes.
And you're telling me that there is no other company that can supply exactly the same bricks?
No.
No. Because they have to match what's already been done from the church's tower.
Chair, how many bricks do we need?
It's on the email. I think it's part of the package tonight. There's a lot.
They're handmade bricks. They're handmade. Yeah.
But handmade bricks are around £400 a thousand.
These are very special bricks, I can assure you. But
why are we having specialist bricks? Because they've got to match the church.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the church's stipulation?
No, that's the stipulation. However, the first 2 walls were made, agreed at the time in 2003. They had to match the brick tower, and there was a lot of work done in 2003 by that company to make the bricks to match.
So looking at the document, we need 814 bricks.
Yes.
That's outrageous. That's an outrageous amount of money, quite frankly. I know it's specialised and all the rest of it, but I think that's an awful lot of money. I really do. And the thing is, when we have the next lot of walls built, what's the cost going to be then?
No.
I doubt we'll see the next lot.
Well, whatever, it's still going to be expensive.
So this, in a way, though, it's a very essential asset for the village, isn't it? Because we're running out of space to actually put for people to be commemorated on a memory wall.
Yeah.
And yeah, go on.
Sorry. So even if the wall was built somewhere else, for example, at the burial ground, it is still within the remit of the church yard. So we would still have to match the bricks to the church.
Well, I just think it's an outrageous amount of money, quite frankly. That's my personal opinion.
I'd just like to add that is, I deal with construction and bricks, and that it seems a lot of money for 800 bricks, £3,500.
Exactly.
There's 3 pallet loads, which, for non-handmade bricks, you'd pay £200 to £300 a thousand. A handmade brick, you'd expect to pay £400 to £500.
But these are cut in a special way as well. They've got special, they are cut in a certain way. Do you know what they cost last time round, Anne?
I can look it up.
I've got it on the screen.
Just to see what's any inflation, what.
Do you want me to read it out?
So we're paying.
last time they were ordered in over 2 separate orders, so from 2 different precepts last time. So we've had to add two different orders together. But Sarah, yes, can you tell Councillor something?
Just to be clear, so we're looking at £3,500 for the bricks, and then we're going to have to pay for the wall to be built.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I just think that's beyond incredulous.
Sarah, can you?
Okay, yeah, sorry. The letter dated March 2003, so there were 400 bricks at £995 per 1,000 bricks, plus the plinth. There was 32 plinth stretchers at £2.90 each, 18 copings at £4.50 each, and then there were further requirements for cutting the plinths to form the panel. So I think it came to a total then, I think this is the one wall, wasn't it, Chair, £820 and 20p in total. That was plus VAT then, but obviously you can claim that back. But so that was back in 2003, £820 for one wall.
So times 2, 1640 then, yeah.
Yeah.
So the cost back then per 1,000 was under £1,000, so it's £900 odd per 1,000. It's now 3,500 for 800 bricks.
It's doubled in price.
I don't think it's good value. I don't think
it's doubled in price. It's doubled.
More than doubled. If it was £900 odd pounds.
No, it's not. It was £1,640 the total cost of the bricks.
Yeah, but Sarah said it was not. It worked out £900 odd per 1,000 on the last quote.
Some of the bricks are specialist ones, different types of brick. If you heard what she said, they're not all the same brick, are they? Some of them are cut in a certain way.
So the breakdown of the actual costs this time round is the 814 normal bricks at £2.50 each. The copings, the 36 copings on the top are £7.50 each. The plinth stretchers, the 64 of those are £4.95 each. The handmade cants, there's 48 of those at £4.90. 56. Well, the other plinth stretchers, the 56 and the 64, are £4.95 and £4.90 each respectively. Then there's internal plinth returns, which are £5.95 each. So yeah, when I did the calculations, yeah, it was just under £3,500.
It's about double price, isn't it? It's gone up. It's twice the price.
Can I come in? Can I just say something?
Yes, Councillor Rodwood.
Can I just say that we are going to recoup some income from these walls because we are going to charge for the plaques.
Yes, and we already have been as well.
And we did look at finance about increasing the price of the plaques to make it, a little bit more cost effective. So, there is some income coming back in. It's not as if it's just a pure outlay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just where we have to source the bricks from isn't just from a normal brickie. These are specifically made for us. So,
and to match the church itself is listed and in a conservation area. So that's why it's important that the bricks complement that.
And that will be the requirement of the planning application and of the
faculty.
Thank you. So, unfortunately, with the bricks, our hands are definitely tied. To stop, not to really stop the conversation on this tonight, but it was just for information for councillors tonight. Next month will be when we will discuss, the tender and the whole package in one go. But I just wanted you to know that that estimate was in. And we'll obviously discuss this more probably next month.
Yeah.
Moving on to environment and grounds. Councillor Rippingale.
Yes, obviously we noted the sad departure of Andy. Mark obviously has been badly affected by Andy's loss. but has managed to do a fair bit of work, principally on hedge cutting. Has done a good job on the major hedges, which is the one in the middle of the village, the one next to the lights, and the one for the main one out to the village green. And in the process of getting weed killer for the nature reserve, we have now set up an account which we've made our first purchase against, and Mark today asked me about getting a few more bits of protective equipment so he can do it properly. So the nature reserve will be done, I would estimate, in February sometime, as originally planned, which is obviously good.
Yep, quite happy to help.
That's it at the moment in terms of update. I mean, obviously, we have later in the agenda the final payment for Andy, which was worked out by myself. Andy was significantly ahead on his hours that he was accumulating over the year against when unfortunately he fell ill, and the final payment is reflective of that.
Yeah. The other thing I need to note also, I had Kaz White from the school contact me today, asking whether the children are making are painting stones this week as part of the student kind of like well-being thing that's happening, and was asking whether they could put the stones on the field. And I said, well, what field do you mean? You know, if you mean the playing field, you then got to talk to the village hall. Talking about the village green with the war memorial, you know, it's us. So yeah, she's quite happy, and she's asked whether she could lay the stones kind of like near the stone, or I suggested perhaps under the tree near the stone, so they could be seen by the road, and perhaps to the side a little bit for grass cutting purposes. So can you let Mark know that there may be some painted stones in that area, like obviously like between the memorial stone and that tree, like where the cross went for the First World War, because yeah, the school are going to be placing a stone display down there, which I thought was quite nice.
Is that temporary or permanent?
Temporary.
Okay.
I think the stone, the Girl Guide stone's still by the War Memorial actually as well. For
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Chair,
okay.
Yes.
could I just on the grounds thing? I was thinking, I think it was on Sunday actually when I was having a wander around. I saw Russell at the same time. We the gritting, pavement gritting, and that we seem to we had a plan at one time. And I don't. Perhaps we haven't had a need for it this year. I don't know, but we don't. There's plenty of grit down at the down at Gould's farm, and I seem to think we were going to put a site it locally around, because there could be a call for it in sometime before the winter's out, couldn't there? To grit the pavements or anything. I don't know what you think, Trevor. Or
well, I think it was November time. The groundsman did go around and look at all the bins, and they thought there was sufficient salt in all of them. Originally, there was a designated person to do salting within certain areas, because obviously the groundsmen aren't available at all times.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I think the key areas were obviously outside the school,
post office
junction,
area,
the post office junction, the old people's home, which is where Mark done some salting when he was around in early January. I think Brumwyn Road, Shalford Road Junction, it was also one mentioned. I believe Martin might have done that, I'm not too sure. But there are, like I say, supposedly certain volunteers within those specific areas that can cover if needed be. I don't know if that's part of the emergency plan or not, but certainly
I don't think it is.
the groundsman would be mindful to do it if they were, if they knew it was coming up. So I say certainly Mark did salt the old people's homes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do the post office or something like that, but I can't think where the bin is at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think there is one on the street, is there, anywhere?
Can't think of it off the top of my head. No.
No.
I'll do
That's-
bridge and pavement.
I think actually, I think I have a recollection that we said, Roger said something about we'd take a sack of it or something home. We'd have it at home.
Yes. Yeah. Or I say as far as I remember in conversations that you know, you're welcome. Whoever's available can take from Gould's Farm, and also I think Roger's pile is not
as big as it was.
Accessible. I don't think it's accessible. So you do actually have to ask him if you can get at it if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, obviously with all the water about and a few frozen nights, we might have a bit of a problem on some of those public areas, you know.
Yeah, I'll say there's certainly nothing stopping us as individuals getting some salt on roads.
No.
Obviously, there is a potential liability about it because obviously, if you salt one place and not the other, you might have an accident. But
so best not to salt at all, then perhaps.
it's a difficult subject.
Yeah,
in
you're
that
right.
respect.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Mm.
Yeah, we could make ourselves liable.
Yeah.
The only other
that's-
to put
yeah.
signage up, the district council will put a sign up saying this area has not been sorted, even though you can clearly see that it has been sorted. So I think that sort of absolves any responsibility for anything that may happen.
Yeah, bit of a grey area, isn't it?
I have to give that a little bit of thought outside this meeting, I think.
Yeah, okay, we can address again if we need to. Moving on to Village Hall, Cynthia. Where's that come from? Celia, sorry. I know it's late. Where did Cynthia come from?
Do you know what? I used to be called, I was at school with a Cynthia and a Sylvia, and I was called Cynthia and Sylvia, never my name. So I'm not surprised.
I do apologise.
Oh no, well, never mind. Right, we've got a report from the Village Hall saying we're still shut and watching every penny as we've no income currently, and we're not expecting this to change for quite a few months on regular hirers and potentially to the end of the year for ad hoc hirers. So the outdoor gym has been closed in line with the latest government guidelines. They're in discussion with opening the CIP toilets over the half-term holidays. The concerns are that there are so many playgrounds around us are being closed. It's possible that there'll be more people using the playground with the variants, with the new variants of COVID. Do we want to encourage people to our area? If we have the toilets open, obviously people will. The flat roof on the kitchen stroke toilets area has been patched, and this will need to be completely re-roofed in the warmer weather, which is what I've said in previous times. Tony is looking into grants available at the moment, but in the current climate, these are proving difficult. Basically, COVID-based projects are taking priority, and that's it really.
Okay, thank you.
Could I stick Frippensworth in there? Just
you can.
It's just I know that Sailing Hall has got COVID-related grants from the government grant schemes, and they've had a couple, and I think they're about to get a payment for another one.
All right.
I think we've had.
But I think they are applied for through BDC,
right,
on behalf of the government. I'm not sure what closing dates exist, so they would need to check that. And it might be worth talking to. I'm trying to think of his name. I think it's no good. It's gone. The brain's gone to sleep now. Sorry. I can't remember the guy's name. I'll try and look it up and email it to you, Celia, if that's
okay.
all right.
That's fine. Yeah.
And I did make inquiries about any other grants that were available for village halls for the team at Sailing, and I'll look up the answers I got on that. That was only last month, after last month's parish council meeting.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
I'll look that up and I'll send that through. It may or may not come to any money, but you never know.
Everything's better than nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're looking for 31 grand to renew their car park.
Oh my giddy aunt.
Yeah, but one of the other things that was interesting was that their part of the damage is caused, they say, by the commercial waste collection.
Oh, right.
And they were looking to move the location of it.
Mm.
And they've now decided to do away with it whilst COVID's going on, because they said they've spent about 900 quid on commercial waste collection when the hall's closed. So the only waste that's in there is from, in their words, residents who are too lazy to get rid of it themselves.
I'll check with what they're doing, but I have a suspicion that that's been suspended, but I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll mention it.
Yeah, because I know that they reckon that's going to save them a load of money, but
Yeah.
I'm not convinced myself. But you know,
we're still being collected because I move the bin every other Tuesday.
Oh, do you? Oh, well, there you go.
The reason is because all the litter bins rubbish is put into there, and it is full. It's full of pink sacks. So if they weren't collected, we would be in serious
dire straits.
Yeah.
Well, they have obviously a different issue to us. We have more litter where we are then.
Well, it's just I suppose it comes down to a question of who pays.
Yeah.
Because should the village hall be paying for the collection of the village litter? I don't know. I don't know if you want to open that can of worms or not. It's probably
litter, isn't it? It's
better that it's in a place that's easily collected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Councillor Willis, quickly.
I was just going to say we need to extend the meeting, won't we, Chair?
That's what I'm trying to butt in to do.
Shall I butt out and then I won't delay you any longer?
Thanks, Paul. Councillors, can I? Thanks, Paul. Can I have a vote, a proposer and a seconder, because we have got to 10 o'clock and unfortunately because of technical issues and the heavy agenda, we've got to that time of the evening where we need to extend the meeting. Can I have a proposer and a seconder to carry on and get the business finished for the evening? Thank you, Councillor Willis and Councillor Agata. Thank you. And are we all in agreement? Yeah, thank you. Okay, moving on then. Telephone box, have you got much to update?
Only a little bit. I've got everything necessary now to reglaze it. Obviously, I've got the glass and I've got the silicone. And I have actually been up there and spent a bit of time trying to, I won't go into the technicalities, but let's put it this way, the way the glass frames are in there is quite tricky. There's some brass rivets. Now, I've managed to extract one, so I can get one pane re-glassed, but I cannot get the rivets out of the other ones for love nor money. I've WD-40'd them and everything, but I've made a start, but I'll probably need a little bit of a work party somewhere along the line, and then somebody who's useful with their hands at getting rivets out would be useful.
That's what my son does for a living.
Does he?
Well, he mends aeroplanes and does rivets and stuff.
Well, yeah, he might. I mean, what they really need.
You might have the tools.
Yes, exactly. I haven't. What you really need is a battery drill, I think, to drill the rivet out. And I haven't got such a tool as a battery drill.
I'll have a word with him, see if he can.
Tyler's just ordered one of those as well.
But it's. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're obviously really waiting for the weather to improve to make some strides forward, really, aren't we? But I have got one frame out anyway, so they do come out eventually.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Nature Reserve.
Right. Well, obviously, Trevor's just updated us about the spray. I've got something I'll circulate to you. It's I'd like to have a word with Mark about it. I'll get Mark involved in it as well, and that is. I'll leave it for a week or two, a few weeks, or I'll go through Trevor, whatever. But I'll send it to you first, Trevor. There's some turf. You can buy turf. I suppose you may have seen this, but you can buy turf. It's 4 meters squared, the actual piece of turf, and it's filled with wildflower seed. So you basically re-turf an area, put this area in, and that area then produces wildflowers on top of it, automatic, without having to cultivate them. They cost about £100 for each 4 meters squared turf. But I will put a proposal around on that. I think they would look rather nice, strategically placed around the nature reserve. But I'd have a word with Mark about that, obviously.
I think you need to
And
Sylvia
Roger,
first.
of course, yeah.
Sylvia will have an opinion on that. I would have
I
thought.
don't think she may not like the wildflowers, but I do. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'll have to involve Roger and Sylvia, of course. It's just a thought at the moment. It's just something I read about and thought, well, that looks a good idea. But obviously, it'll have to be put to everybody else. And everybody else will have to agree.
I mean, if it's turf, then obviously what you'd need to do is obviously cut out that bit of turf, current position, whatever it is, probably turn it upside down and put this on top.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, obviously, I'll go through. I'll put it as a proposition to the little working party we had originally, if you know what I mean, that we started out with. And I do know that I would like to involve Mark at some point. I know
I mean, he'll have an opinion as well. Don't worry.
Yeah. But apart from that, it's fairly tidy down there at the moment. I must say it doesn't look bad really. Even with a lot of walkers around there, it's held up quite well. It's quite tidy actually, quite tidy.
Good, brilliant. Thank you, Councillor Willis. Okay, moving on to finance. I need a proposer and a seconder for the February payments. Thank you, Councillor Rippingale and Councillor Eldred. Thank you. To note that the bank reconciliation at the end of December was £46,445.67. And the next item is, we need Sarah to load the budget. Unfortunately, as Sarah was about to enter our budget, we came across an error where the wrong figure had been put into the calculation, which actually made us have an increase of -3%. Obviously, we cannot have a precept figure that is less than previous years. We've been able to put a few bits put back in. If Sarah can load the spreadsheet for us. Okay, everything is as it was, apart from the earmarked funds for the equipment fund. It's a little bit higher than what we're on at the moment. The equipment earmarked fund has been put back to £2,000 on line 25, because obviously we had to reduce that down. We have also put £1,000 back into the village enhancements to do something nice within the village. And the third one is £1,000 has gone into the Ashes Wall budget. Adding all of those items, back in now gives us a increase of 2.79%, I believe it is. No, 2.39, sorry. Obviously at precept we agreed a figure, and I think last month we agreed an increase of about 3%, wasn't it? Finally, so obviously being able to put these figures back into the budget, are councillors happy with that percentage increase going forward, or is there anything you would like to change?
I know we've got the enhancement of 1,000, but we did say to either do away with it or reduce it quite substantially. If we still reduced it, that would reduce our precept percentage, wouldn't it?
It would, yes. I mean, we've basically we put it like reset the spreadsheet back to how it was to see how it works. This is like obviously the worst case scenario. So yes, the village enhancements could go down to 750. It could go down to 500. What do councillors think? Sarah, if we took the village enhancements down to £750, what does that do to our percentage?
I know we did discuss about doing away with it altogether, but I think it's quite nice to have something there for a just in case day.
Yeah, so reducing that to £750 rather than the £1,000 that was in the budget would reduce it to a 1.84% increase. Councillors, can I have your thoughts, please?
I'm happy with either amount, as it's relatively small.
Yeah. Councillor, anyone? Councillor Spencer, have you got your hand up, or are you just fiddling with your screen? No, I can't hear you. You're muted. Oh no, can I unmute you?
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't get off mute. Yeah, I was just going to say I was on a course last week, and other councils were talking about their precept, and a lot of them, one in particular, was going up by 25%, because they said in these COVID times they needed to put more in the budget. So I was just going to say, ours isn't going up by too much. Why would we want to take it down?
Yeah.
Because in these COVID times, there may be something that we would need. It just seems we're not asking for anything. I don't think unrealistic. So why take it back if we don't need to?
Good point. It does give us the freedom to be able to do something. If that budget line wasn't spent, it's something that we can put towards something else as an underspend next year anyway. I mean, yeah, we're looking at either a 1.84% increase or a 2.39% increase. Either of those increases are going to be much less than what they have been in previous years. Previous years was a 4%. I think it was a 4% increase. 3%. You know, either figures are very good. So, Councillor Davis.
My only comment is I think any increase should be kept to an absolute minimum, as a lot of people have lost their jobs through COVID or on furlough. A lot of people are struggling financially, and I just think we need to be mindful of that. That's my only comment.
Yeah. So how about this proposal that we have on the screen now, then, having the £750 in the Village Enhancement Fund, everything else as it is, which then has us a whatever it was
1.84,
1.89, 1.84. Councillors happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? So the screen's with that Councillor Merton and anyone else? Councillor Eldred. When we're screen sharing, all your little screens are like to one side, and I can't see who's got their hand up.
Chair, sorry, I can't see anything. I've only got the spreadsheet on there.
Okay.
All I was trying to, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling that I don't really see the point of dropping from where we were, to be honest with you, for the sake of 250 quid. As you rightly say, if we don't spend it, we can't allocate it next year. And we're talking pence, aren't we? Pence.
Well, why don't we drop it even further then to 500, make it worth dropping?
Well, why do we want to do that?
Well, as Councillor Davis said, you know, people are, you know, not everybody is financially secure at the moment, and you know.
But our few pence a year isn't going to make a lot of difference, is it?
And at at the last meeting, we agreed a much higher percentage.
We did.
So to have it down to 2.39 is actually less than what we actually had agreed at the previous meeting before the error had come to light.
Exactly.
And we've been able to put a lot more back into the budget. Luckily, the error worked in our favour, and it's an error that won't happen again because we put fail safes in place as well now. So, so Sarah and I do apologise. This has come back to council again for you to discuss.
The only thing I'd say on this, Chair, is that, you know, I know we're only talking about 0.8% or 0.5%, but, you know, there will be some families out there that have had to take 20–30% pay drops because they're on furlough. People have had to take mortgage payments. Literally, for some families, every penny will count. You know, I was on furlough myself for 3 months last year, and we had to look at every single penny, and there'll be other families in the village. It will make a difference to them. Look at how many people have had to rely on food banks this year, for example. I just think we just need to be mindful. I know we're saying, okay, look, you know, we can charge it now and then, you know, knock it off of next year. But maybe there's some people actually that will make a difference. I feel quite strongly about it.
Chair, but
Yes.
we also have a responsibility to maintain the upkeep of the village. And if it was a very huge amount of money, I would agree entirely, but it's not. It's going to be literally pence per household. And we do have a responsibility. We will have to make decisions about what we can maintain and what we can't maintain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking to Paul's point, you know, we've had this discussion about the litter and do we need more bins and things like that. You know, why people will keep coming to the village and they're walking and they're making the use of the space we've got here. We might possibly need to look at things like that through the year. And I don't know if we've got a line item that would already cover that sort of thing.
And we'd already agreed an increase. We'd already agreed a higher increase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That argument wasn't made when we agreed it before.
No, I'm agreeing with you, Paul. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not addressing it to you, Karen. I agree with you as well. I'm addressing it to the people who want to cut the budget.
Councillor Agatha?
Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
There are valid points for either. Councillor Eldred?
Yeah, I agree with both people, and I certainly agree with Russell that, you know, things are tight and everything else. I just wonder if we do have a little bit in reserve. If we do have to do something later in the year, we will have something to do something if we need to do kind of direct action with people who are in those kind of circumstances. Don't know whether anybody saw Country File on Sunday, where there was a in a village, they've got this long table that they were cooking meals and freezing meals and all those kind of things. People have been talking about that in the village, a few people in the village, how can we directly help people? You might need 750 quid to set something up later on. It's kind of this contingency fund, isn't it? And I wonder whether we do need a line with that in it for those pure things that Russell is saying, and I totally agree. If it was a large amount, I think I'd agree with with Russell that we need to do something. But I can see what Paul's saying and Tom's saying. I can see both sides of it. If it wasn't such a big figure, I think it's something to really talk about. Whatever, as it's so small, I think we go where we are.
But Councillor Meehan wishes to speak. Please let her speak for a moment.
Yep, sorry, I was just going to say I agree, because obviously it's got the title of village enhancement, but that doesn't necessarily mean something fun. That means something that we can do to enhance the village. And if that's one of the many ideas, I like, fair enough, dropping it to 750, fine. But I feel like leaving it there is a good place to be. Like you said, we're already under the percentage increase that we agreed.
That's right.
Months ago, which is why I don't fully understand. Like, I looked at the 2.8? No, we're at 2.84 now, 2.36 or whatever it was, and thought that was awesome. Like, that was as low as we were going to get. And so seeing 1.84 and having something to be able to, even if it comes down to exactly like Councillor Eldred said, or anything like to do with directly helping the village in a way of setting up some form of people being able to cook somewhere, or just anything, I just feel like it's a really good thing to have there. I don't see the point in dropping it anymore. And I think a 1.84 increase is a really bloody good increase, to be fair.
Well, we'd be going a little bit higher than 1.84 if we kept it where we were. But I think my point was that we've already voted on this and we've already agreed a higher increase. So why are we now voting to decrease it again? That's what I'm trying to get ahead.
Okay, who's in favour of keeping the increase at 2.39%, where we have 1,000 in the village enhancements then, with an increase that is already less than what we had originally agreed?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to have a proposer and a seconder for the precept increase to be 2.39%, please. Councillor Willis and Councillor Rippingale, thank you. Okay, Sarah, can you share the screen for the underspend document, please? Hopefully. Fantastic, thank you. Okay, this document was produced after the Finance Committee met on the 11th of January. We've gone through the budget lines from the current budget, and we've identified the underspends due to COVID and extra things we've already had. We've already used the underspend in the budget for room hire that we've saved on room hire. That's already gone back into next year's precepts, which is why we've got the lower figure that we've just agreed. But these are where we've identified we can have an underspend. And the Finance Committee recommends that this is the underspend that there is. Obviously now we are going to have some professional fees, so that the figure in bracket is going to come into play, because we are obviously going to we've agreed tonight to apply for planning permission for the Ashes walls. So we're looking at a £4,366 underspend, although there is a significant overspend on the street furniture budget line this year, because we had to purchase all 3 bins out of one financial year, as we had planned to do it across the 2 years, or the two different precepts. But obviously COVID got in the way March last year, so there's an overspend of, I think it's 1,300 plus the 240 that we've agreed last parish council meeting for the installation costs. So we've got an overspend of 1,600. So basically the figure, so if you can scroll down for me, the final figure that we've got is £2,759 to move into earmarked funds in our reserves. Obviously we have different pots of money within the earmarked funds. We have our general reserve, which is obviously kept steady. We have the earmarked equipment funds. We have the Ashes wall. We have the nature reserve. So there's, there's different ways of. We know we need to top up the equipment fund, because we know that we're going to need there could be the chance of having to buy new machinery in the next few years. And as you've seen tonight, the Ashes wall is going to be expensive, but obviously we are looking at other forms of funding the Ashes walls as well. So it's where councillors would like to see this money move to. My proposal is to split it half and half down the middle, one to the earmarked funds and the other half towards the ashes wall. The ashes wall, if you notice higher up the document, £500 was from the ashes wall budget line anyway, so at least £500 should really go into that fund anyway. I don't know what councillors' thoughts are.
Can we stop sharing the screen again?
Yes, of course we can.
Can I
Yes.
say something? Is that right? Funnily enough, literally just before you said about that, I seem to remember, or I don't know if I remember it correctly. Did we take money out of the equipment fund for some reason or another?
Yes, we bought the
was
the new mower.
Yes, so to me it seems pertinent to put that back in, or to put some back in, considering that realistically that's one of our largest sort of
that's why we have the budget line in the
if something goes wrong, it's generally a larger amount of money than if anything else goes wrong.
Yeah.
And we've got £1,000 in the budget, haven't we, for the ashes wall at the minute? So if that £500 went back in, that would be 1.5. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so what does that make? That makes 500. No. Roughly. I've lost all the figures out of my head and I can't see anything. I apologize. But I do agree that, because I'm guessing obviously with other ways of funding the ashes wall, we're looking into grants, etc.
Yes.
So if we're sort of halfway there already, that seems like a good place to be at. And then maybe the remainder could go to somewhere else, and we could even fit it into 3 categories. I don't know, but I do agree with the with at least half, like going back into the earmarked funds for equipment. So that is my feelings.
Thank you, Grace.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Can I just hear again your proposal, please, Chair, what you were proposing?
I was proposing to split the £2,700 down the middle, half to the equipment earmarked funds and the half towards the ashes wall.
That seems pretty reasonable to me, to be honest, and fairly in line with what Councillor Meehan was saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly from my perspective, obviously the more money that goes into the equipment fund, the better. But obviously recognise that obviously equipment is not the only thing on the board, so I'm not really saying much more than that. But anything is appreciated for the longer term improvement of the equipment as well.
Yeah, I think it's a happy, personally, I believe is a happy medium, because we've managed to put more money back into the budget for next year as well to go into the earmarked funds. So where you'd worked out your scheduling, I think, we would put that ahead, we'd be getting that ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I agree.
And as councillors will be aware tonight, yes, the ashes wall is going to be a large, we are expecting this to come in at about £7,000, depending on how the tenders come in. Let's not beat about the bush here. Any money that we can put towards it, to save towards it, if that's how the council wants to go, we need to do.
Yep.
Can I have a proposer and a seconder to split the earmarked funds between the 2 different? Councillor Willis, Councillor Rippingale. Thank you. We all in agreement?
Yeah. I just had a quick look at my own personal circumstances, and I believe the amount we voted through in terms of the precepts is costing me £1.12p. To give you a bit of context for our increase from last
over the year.
Over the year.
Yeah,
thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. And then the other item that came to light when we was looking at the earmarked funds, we do have, we seem to have 2 funds related to to church and remembrance plaques, or the ashes wall. So there was one that was just called Churchyard, and Sarah has been back through the minutes of previous years gone by and can't actually find anything what is related to that churchyard column. And obviously we already had the remembrance wall reserve funds where the money from the excess money from the plaques and everything was going. So it's our it was the finance committee's proposal to amalgamate those two earmarked funds together, which would actually then be called the ashes wall. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Councillor Agutter and Councillor Eldred. Thank you. So yeah, just to confirm that the half of that underspent money will be going into that fund that the ashes wall that we've just made. Nearly there, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, to note the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting that happened on the 11th of January. To be fair, everything that's minuted, I think we've kind of like had to discuss like underspends and everything has been kind of like readdressed. But any questions? No. Can I have a proposer and a seconder? Councillor Rippingale and Councillor Willis. Thank you. Moving on to meetings and training. Councillor Spencer did her training the last 2 weeks. I think she had a good time and pretty full of ideas now for us.
Yes, yeah, it was really good. The first one was quite hard going because it was the first time the two tutors had actually delivered this virtually, and they were very disconnected. They were unfamiliar with the content. Everything overran massively, and administratively it was quite poor. We had to print off 100 or so coloured slides, and it turned out we didn't need to have printed them off at all. So, Mike, I think you're going on the course in March, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you will have the same tutors. So we've given them feedback about the fact that we should never have been asked to print all those slides off. So just make sure that you don't get given the same instructions, because obviously the time and the money and everything involved. The second day was much more interesting. Instead of being around governance and statutory duties, it was around engaging with the local community and the tools and techniques that we could use. I really enjoyed that. I asked, quite a few of them talked about their neighbourhood plans. So I asked them, given the situation we're in with COVID, if they had any real golden nuggets about how we could engage with the community and get them involved. But the general view from everyone, including the two tutors, was really it's something you need to put on hold until you can engage more with your community. And they also talked about their annual village meetings and different techniques we could use there, so that we really got feedback from people rather than just questionnaires and so forth. But again, I would guess that we're probably not going to be able to have our annual meeting in May, are we?
No, doubtful.
But yeah, very interesting training, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it, Mike.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Thanks, Karen. Any other meetings and training? Sarah?
Just to note, Chair, that I've got the Supporting Communities meeting tomorrow with BDC. If there's anything that needs raising, that will be with other clerks. A regular meeting that we have to discuss any COVID issues and anything else of interest to the parishes in the Braintree district.
Thank you. And just to note, from a parish council point of view, next week is the Communications and Data Committee meeting, and 2 weeks tonight is the next Finance Committee meeting. Other than that, the date of the next meeting is Monday, the 1st of March. So please, can we have items to Sarah by the 18th of February? That's early. Never mind. Anyway, I totally apologise for the length of tonight's meeting. Obviously, it wasn't helped with technical issues, which seemed to be quite catastrophic at some point. So I do apologise. Dawn, it isn't always this long. Hand on heart, it's not always this late. It really isn't. So welcome to the council with a baptism of fire on that one. Yeah, Tom, if you can, if I can say goodnight to our viewers, if there's anyone still watching on YouTube. If not, they should all be in bed. You can stop the recording, please.
Somebody
and
doing
we'll
breakfast.
and we can shut the